Springtime at Daytona. April rains have come and gone, leaving the smells of race fuel and rubber lingering. It's been like this for decades, over half a century now, at Daytona International Speedway in Central Florida. Tonight is no different as the AREA Cup Series makes its biannual trek to this monolithic speedway. They will climb the banks next week to contest the AREA 500, but this week they must qualify for the biggest race of the season. Welcome to the AREA Cup Series, welcome to Sim TV, and welcome to Daytona International Speedway. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined tonight, as always, by Finian DeCuna, Hunter Sleppy, and Eric Wineland. Guys, welcome aboard. Finian, welcome back to the AREA Cup Series.
Yeah, I'm sure these guys are glad to be back after a few weeks of the off-season, resting, waiting to get going. Some changes in the off-season as well, and now finally get to show the new cars, the new paint schemes, these new drivers with new attitudes potentially here for this new season number 4 of the AREA Cup Series.
Hard to believe we're already here at season 4, and indeed there's plenty of new to talk about, going with new drivers and new teams being formed as we speak, and plenty of new faces coming in, all trying to race their way into the AREA 500. Going to be a little bit more than expected. Got, I believe, 44 entries tonight for only 43 spots. So one guy is going to have to go home. Who will that guy be? Never know. Time will tell. But we're going to go ahead and determine the starting order in a new fashion with single car qualifying now for the duels.
Man, you stole my thunder, Hunter, already. We haven't even started the season yet. my first broadcast with you guys here in Season 4. Kyle, Finney, and Hunter, thank you guys for having me back here on Pit Road. I'm excited to bring you guys the action from down here at the track level. New format for AREA. We ratified this offseason that single car qualifying is going to make an appearance here for the AREA 500, guys. Every single driver will get to document how beautiful their car is, for one, and how good they are at qualifying on a super speedway around this 2.5 mile tri-oval. Kyle, Daytona, she's a beast, and it may seem as simple as just hold it wide open, but these guys are going to have a handful tonight, especially in these duels.
Every time you come to Daytona, you're not talking about physically wearing yourself out. You're talking about mentally wearing yourself out. The tough part comes next week in the races. Qualifying for a lot of drivers isn't that consequential, but certainly starting up front can prevent you from getting caught up in an early collision next week, Finian. So qualifying tonight, pretty critical, I think. Maybe not for the overall result just based on your speed and how many cars you need to pass, but just to stay out of trouble when the unknown hits next week at Daytona.
It really is, and this race is really going to be a good trial run, like we mentioned. We only got one guy going home, so if you're, especially if you're one of the other guys, especially if you're a charter team, you're already locked into the show. It's just a matter of figuring out where you're going to start this race. But key thing is going to be getting back into. It's going to be a great race to get back into the swing of things with these duels, kind of figuring out the pack racing, especially with the updates that have happened to this car since the off season started. So slightly new car, slightly new draft model. These guys got to figure out just a little bit, relearn, and figure it out before the big race next week.
Well, speaking of the big race, you're looking at the winner from Season 3, Travis Beckner, with a move made on the last lap. Final restart, he restarted 9th on the inside lane, so that'd be on the 5th row. Somehow managed to get his way towards the front and held off before Alex Weaver to win the AREA 500. And interesting to note that winning the AREA 500 don't really have to do too much. It sounds simple, but really looking back at it, the average laps led by the winner was 2 laps. And Travis Beckner led 2 laps a season ago and didn't really have to start far back either. So track position is going to be key, and that's what we're going to see tonight from the duels. So the average starting position by each winner is 4th, and the furthest back that the winner has won the AREA 500 was 8th. So really going to have to look for maybe getting inside the top 3 for each duel. And by the way, the starting spot last year that won the AREA 500 was 4th, so maybe 4th is a lucky number.
I don't know where 4 is a lucky number there, but sure, we'll go with it. I think you just need to not have bad luck throughout the race when it comes to the AREA 500. But tonight, I mean, I'm just impressed. All these guys here in practice are more worried about draft practice and getting themselves acquainted for the duels compared to just getting off pit road. There's another change that we have not documented. And Kyle, I'm sure you and Finian are going to talk about this here. 1 lap. That's all you get. 1 lap to put a time down to try to qualify your way into the 500.
And this creates an interesting sort of strategy, because in the past, qualifying was pretty straightforward here. You'd run the first lap up against the outside wall and the second lap against the inside yellow line. Finian, tonight we're going to see drivers probably try to do something in between, because you're trying to build momentum, but you're also building speed. So you're probably going to stick it to the bottom, but do you think pinching it down that low could potentially slow you down? Would you move up a quarter of a lane, half a lane just to get something? I think there's a lot left to learn as we head into tonight with this new qualifying format.
It is going to change it quite a bit, because you can argue when the car got closer to terminal velocity in lap 1, you kind of you run a little bit low, run a little bit high, or really you can just run high and keep the momentum going. But now, because you're constantly building up momentum on that first lap up until the line, it really is going to change. It really is going to be a lot more important where you are on the corner. How tight you turn through the corner. Do you want to apex it a little bit? It sounds bizarre, at a track like Daytona, apexing the corner. But you're going to have to decide, do you want to give it more of an apex, get some more momentum out, run high, run a longer line around to build up more speed? I'm curious to see the different, because with 44 guys, I'm sure you're going to see a multitude of different approaches to that to see who can get the fastest time, because it's going to come down to thousandths of a second.
Without a doubt, and with less than a minute remaining in practice, looking at the 33 of David Weissart. Remember a season ago, he said that he was going to retire from Cup racing. Decided to hold off on that retirement just for the moment, so he's listed tonight as an open car, and there's a real possibility that David Weissart, a race winner from last season, could miss the AREA 500.
I mean, it's the biggest race, Hunter, so why would you retire from the biggest race? We still saw some guys come back and give it a shot. Jimmy Johnson, to name one. And we'll have some cool stories as well coming up tonight with the actual NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series driver joining us here in AREA that will document once he hits the track for qualifying. But with 15 seconds dwindling down, this first group that's going to go out, Kyle, is got to get themselves pretty ready, and AJ Roderick's going to lead us off.
So practice is complete, and anything that you were going to learn is now learned or not learned. It's one of those two things, nowhere in between. So as we hit the checkered flag now, you're going to go set your qualifying run. And then we talked earlier about, draft practice, guys. This is a unique qualifying format here in stock car racing because, yes, it's qualifying, but it's also wheel-to-wheel racing. So you have to kind of find a blend between those two things, between getting greedy and getting what you can now and trying to race it like a race, Finian, and perhaps save something in the tank for a little later. It's as far as the duels go, that's going to be interesting to watch.
Definitely is going to be interesting to watch, especially now with qualifying here with, I'm pretty sure the entire first set of drivers are going to see rolling out on the track are all going to be guys that are at risk of going home. And there's some interesting names on this list. They're not just guys that are just new to the series. You got some guys that have been here quite a while, some pretty big names. Bryce Senezak, Brandon Bowie, who I actually think is not racing tonight. David Weishart, we mentioned earlier, is on that list. Chris Seidenfeiden, and Dwayne Culberson, and Brad Slaughter all have the chance of missing the 500 next week.
And Brad Slaughter is an Area 500 winner as well. Back in Season 2, got that done. Both passes coming on the last lap, last turn. Brad Slaughter and Travis Beckner when they won their Area 500s. But it's time to buckle up and get ready for qualifying. This is new for all of us. I'm really interested in how this is going to go.
And it's all going to matter about getting through these gear shifts right here. So we're going to see that with these guys. There's only one lap. We've documented that. Now, these guys don't get to just pull right up on the racetrack and take off. They're going to have to wrap that apron and get moving as we are awaiting. Someone had their black flags cleared already. Now I'm confused by what these guys are managing here. But I believe AJ Roderick should be hitting the track here any moment.
So while we wait for that, did notice...
He is on track.
He is on track.
Oh, he is on track.
We have two different groups, and it stayed that way for qualifying, Kyle. So this is gonna be fun to handle.
Well, I can handle it. That's how we roll. So let's figure it out here as we get moving here in just a moment. We'll switch things over to group number 2, and there it is, and we'll find him on the racetrack heading through. Now it looks like turns 3 and 4. Here he is.
Yeah, coming out of turn 4 now, he's completing this first lap. So this is his time lap here coming to the line. And you're going to see him cut down below the apron just to save just a few thousandths of a seconds across the line. Very first time on the board. It's going to be a 49.330.
Right. So first time in. So are we going to be swapping back and forth between groups? Is this how this is going to work?
I believe we should just be able to click on the driver. It should automatically change it. Don't quote me on that.
Up next.
David Elliott in the 57, and already procedural difficulties because he stopped about 100 feet off of pit road. And now he's taking off from there, which is going to be a shorter run to the start-finish line to start this lap, guys. He's already at a disadvantage.
All right, I think I got what's going on now. So we should be good from here on out as we see the 57 roll up onto the back straightaway. One of the things I really enjoy, guys, also, lots of shiny new liveries, paint schemes here. Of course, we got Simrat Market as a replay partner. We'll talk about them a little bit more later in this broadcast, but lots of shiny new paints here this season. And David Elliott's car, the Chevrolet Accessories 57, looking pretty sharp.
He looking pretty sharp, but really big thing's going to matter is he sharp on the timesheets in that number 57. It's a great looking livery. As he comes, he's going to take his green flag to start his time lap.
New to the series, got quite a few new faces in here to AREA iRacing. I know not really new to AREA from behind the mic, but behind the wheel is new. Connor Horn, very own from SimTV, part of the newly formed 609 Motorsports. Him, Jeremy Miller, and Skylar Shackelford, they're all locked in because they are a chartered team now. So excited to see Connor and the boys go at it later tonight for qualifying and for the duels. You see David Elliott working his way through 3 and 4.
Nice and tidy on the bottom here.
One of the things I wanted to point out, Eric, is that sector time, Sector 1, That's the midway of the back straightaway. So we'll keep an eye on that tonight. 24.795. That's how long it took him to get around half the lap, and we'll get an idea of how quick it is around the lap as a whole. 49.471, a little slower than AJ Roderick. Looks like P2 for the 57 for now.
So a new procedural problem. David Elliott has a furled black flag, and I don't know that lap counted.
Did not.
So interesting to see what race control is going to do about it. We do have documentation on the broadcast of what his time is, so they may follow back to that for an official time. Luke Nupp up next here in the 5 car. Yeah, I mean, these guys, this is a whole new learning process for us all right now. So as part of the area admin team, I was going to present that this is a pretty awesome thing, but we're still working out all the kinks up here too.
Me too. One of the things I just noticed is I don't have my qualifying or my timer set up to roll over past an hour. So there is 1 hour and 24 minutes, not just 24. That won't be a problem for anything other than visually. But here comes Luke Nupp out of turn number 4 and back to the start finish line here at speed and across the stripe for the number 05. And it's going to be a 49.393. Slower than Roderick.
Yeah, and so he's going to sit in behind. Really, again, for these guys, again, this entire first group of drivers getting out there who are not chartered, their goal is really just not being the last driver, right? Because there's only one guy going home. So as long as you're not that guy, you may be starting in the back of the duels, but hey, you're at least in the show.
Another time that didn't register. So I'm curious as to if this is going to be a repeated problem of furled black flags for one reason or another, but for whatever reason, that car did not jump to the top of the board.
Yeah, we're hearing there's someone suggesting it might be qualifying scrutiny. Might be, I think if it's on strict, might be the cause.
I believe you're correct, Finian. With the severe scrutiny, if you pull out and stop at the end of pit road to line up as race control is instructing you, well, you've sat there too long, and now it's going to give you a furled black flag, which is going to cause a problem. So race control going over that right now. They're asking for everybody's patience as we watch Nick Silver, another newcomer here to the AREA Cup Series, take his hind lap. No furled black flag for Nick, as far as I can tell, guys. So this one's going to at least count on the timing chart.
Through 3 and 4, 24.799. And we're going to see that 24.7 be kind of the standard down that back straightaway. But if we see any quicker than that, that might be a top of the board time. Here comes Silver across the stripe, 49.501, slower than Roderick, and that one will go up on the board for Nick Silver.
And so he's now currently, I think, one of the last drivers. I believe that's even slower than Nupp's time. Again, still trying to see if that his initial time will count or not. But Silver now at the bottom, at least the 2 scored times. Trying to see if we have Darren Mullins out on track or if the admins have told everyone to wait because they're trying to sort this issue out to make sure everyone has a scheduled time.
Next up, it looks like Cedric Hunter, as far as I can tell, will be the next roll, but I don't see Darren Mullins waiting in the session. That would leave the 07 to be next up.
Okay, so I'm hearing from race control they've asked Luke Nupp and David Elliott to go back out. They're going to go put a time down, and this time will count.
Also, Darren Mullins did not make the session tonight, cleaning that one up too. So no show for Mr. Mullins, but we're going to have David Elliott return to the racetrack, this time without a furled black flag to go. So you get to see what the 57 can manage.
05 lining up, waiting there at the pit out. But again, I think that might be what's causing problems. So we'll see if that continues as David Elliott gets back up onto the Daytona banking here and heads up onto the back straightaway. Now begins the long drive down the Daytona super stretch. Off into turn 3.
Yeah, he's actually going to have a slight advantage here because he might be able to figure out what he did wrong, potentially to try to go a little bit faster. Yeah, there's not a whole much you can do really. It's just a matter of how high, at what point you're going to make your turn in, what line you're going to run into 3 and 4, building up that speed. Because essentially under time lap, you're going to be stuck to the double yellow line.
Big, you see David Elliott cross the stripe to begin his time. big break here for him and the 05, because if not, their lap times would have been, stayed the same, but now we're going to see their times actually stand on the board, and they could pick up a little bit of time here to get past the 56 of Roderick on the board.
I'll be honest, guys, I'm still not liking this lap because David Elliott's consistently not on the yellow line, and as far as I'm aware, you want to be on the yellow line around Daytona. Fastest, shortest way around, and he's consistently he's getting himself down there now in 3 and 4 a little bit. Still pretty far up, and he's drifting on exits like he's almost tight, and that's just going to screw up speed and not be good for the lap time. Here comes the 57 to the line, 49.410. So he's slower than Roderick, but faster than Silver, Kyle. So David Elliott technically currently in the show if they were to do it on time, but we got 2 duels coming up.
Luke Knupp rolls off the pit lane here and heads up for turn number 1. At least you have the out lap here, Finian. You have the warm-up lap coming to the green. And you see Luke getting right up against that outside wall to make the track as long as possible to give yourself as much time as possible to get that thing all the way tacked up. Now, the difference between the outside and inside of the track at 2.5 miles in length and the width that it is, that's a significant difference if you go right up to the outside wall.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting thing to note, Luke did have to reset. He was out on track earlier, but he ended up getting the black flag again. So I think what admins are going to do, they're just going to tell people to drive from their pit stall out on pit road, not wait by the cones, so no one gets a black flag. So with that being said, Luke Knupp starting his first and only time lap across the line.
We see him going across now and could pick up a little more time as well. We've only got Roderick Elliott and Silver up. And the 05 of Luke Knupp. Also an open car, so big for him as well. Trying to get as quick of a time as he can.
I really like what he did coming to the line. He maximized. You guys mentioned he ran high in 3 and 4. Well, he ran high into the trial and then pulled it down. So he really maximized what he could get out of this car. And he's keeping it nice and tidy down here on the bottom. There's a nice safety truck floating in midair. I was not the only one to catch that, I'm sure. Off of turn 4, he drifts a little bit there. Not perfect, but it's going to be a solid lap for the 05. Where's he slot across the line? Just slower than Roderick, a 3.79. So safe to say, guys, Cameron Hearn's qualifying record of 47.835, pretty safe, I think, for tonight again.
Cedric Hunter up next, the 07 Ford Mustang. Roasted Gems Coffee on the side of this car. This is our starting grid sponsor once again for the 2023 season. And good color scheme on this. Easy to spot from a distance. Pink, black, and white 07 heading down the backstretch. And let's see what he does at the stripe. 24-7 has been the magic number there at the stripe, and this time through 23.035.
Yeah, new entry for Lucky Duck Motorsports this season for Season 4. So trying to see if he can impress his team here. Again, he's going to be locked into the show, but let's see how he can do in qualifying. He's going to want to try to be near the front as he works his way up and through the tri-oval, make the dive down below the apron, and across the line for him.
Yeah, that'll be a really good lap. They'll jump. Well, no, what happened there? I saw 47 for a second, and I got very confused. P5 for Cedric Hunter. Must have been a timing and scoring error. Or P4, rather. 49.413.
Guys, I made it on the ticker. I'm in the top 5.
Here's Jeremy Miller off into turn number 1, the number 30. And Finian, he's the self-described plate goat. But things have changed. It's been a long time since we've seen Jeremy Miller in Victory Lane here on Sim TV. So who knows? Maybe tonight could be his night here in the duels to return to Victory Lane.
We'll see. I'll be really interested in seeing what this 30 car can do with Miller, because we've seen him race in Sim TV many times in the past. We know he's definitely one of the better plate track racers out there. He's got some stiff competition in this series. There are a lot of really talented drivers in this series. So how is he going to stack amongst the rest? We'll see. It is weird, though, seeing him with the rookie R next to his name. I'm sure he's going to try to prove himself out there that he's definitely not a rookie.
We'll try and get a fast time here for the new 609 Motorsports, and looks like that's going to be second on the board for Jeremy Miller, 49.339, just 9/1000 off of AJ Roderick's time. That still stands. And here's another new driver who we haven't seen in quite some time, Nate Frito in the number 9 And this is a big addition here for Solar Flare Racing. So he joins the team of Jake and Tyler Nichols along with Delonte Ballard as well. Big pickup for Solar Flare.
8 starts in his Cup career here in Area, all in Season 1. I had the pleasure of racing against Nate in Season 1, and man, he's one tough son of a gun to try to race against. He is so darn fast in those 8 starts. 3 wins, 3 top 5s, and 4 top 10s with 3 poles. So Nate, just as formidable as Jake, in my opinion. Here for Solar Flare, they've really built themselves a powerhouse for this upcoming Season 4. Also, manufacturer change here, as we'll note. Chevrolet for Solar Flare Racing. Gone are the Toyotas.
The lap time for Greedo puts him in 4th place at 49.386. Not a bad time, but it'll drop him into P4 out of the 7 that have scored times so far. Next up will be Ben Pierce, the number 65, as he heads towards turn number 1. Simrat market on the tail and off into turn 1 right against that yellow line. One of the things, Finian, that we should talk about in terms of getting a good run in is getting through the gears cleanly. That is absolutely critical here to go very fast.
Yeah, it's not something you really think about, but again, with only that 1 lap to build up speed, every shift is going to matter quite a bit. If you miss the shift or don't shift at the right time, you don't optimize the shift, you can be missing out on some speed when it counts the most. But here he comes in the 65 machine in open cars. He's a guy that's going to have to try to race his way in tonight as he's rounding out through 3 and 4, see if he's built up enough speed.
Yeah, shifting, it's almost like a rhythm, like when you have that little pep in your step walking down the sidewalk, you have that rhythm going. One wrong move, and then you're off by maybe just a few thousandths of a second. Ben Pierce puts up the 7th quickest time, 49.420. So it's all important about rhythm and just keeping the car as tight to the bottom as you can, especially in the middle of the corner.
And for the next driver on our list, which would be Frankie Barroso. Go ahead, Eric.
I was going to say, I don't believe Frank is here either. So this next one is the special one that I was telling you guys about. Dean Thompson joining the Area Cup Series for at least the Area 500 and the number 70. Yes, this is the Dean Thompson that is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series driver who thankfully is okay after being involved in a horrendous crash at Texas this past weekend. So good news on his side. Now he's going to try to qualify his way into the Area 500.
Glad to hear that. And as he heads up into turn number 3, the outside lane as we'd expect to see. But so far, the times have been pretty close. But I think the biggest influence in this single lap format, Finian, is getting up through the gears and then sticking to that inside lane. But there's also, this track, yes, it's been repaved, obviously, since the 2011 repave, but there are still a couple bumps and undulations, and you just have to be anticipating them to be absolutely perfect smooth. And just maybe give the wheel a little bit lighter pull to the inside so the car can kind of naturally follow the route versus just holding it down and scrubbing the front tires over the tiny little micro bumps that do exist here.
Yeah, I was going to say, this track obviously does get bumpy, as most tracks do over time. Nowhere near as silky smooth as the 2011 rescan, as you mentioned, with this newer one. So, going to have to deal with that just a little bit, manage it a little bit as Dean Thompson now works his way through 3 and 4. That number 70 machine, a real-life NASCAR truck driver. We'll see. Can he get it done? Got to get that car near the top. Potentially lock himself in on the front row. We'll see here, approaching the line.
Comes across the stripe, and the 70 of Dean Thompson, if that lap stands, going to be 6th quick, 49.411 there, and can catch more of Dean Thompson slated to come out of the Miller Racing stable on the truck side of things. So excited for how that's going to go, and of course he'll be in the 5 truck for that series as well. Now we have another new face, Cameron Hearn, in the 4 car coming out.
Cameron Hearn returning to Cup Series action in the number 4, the Eat Sleep Race Ford Mustang. Nice carbon fiber look to this car this season. And nice looking number font as well, and a new number to kick off the season. Rebranding himself, Finian, and who knows what that'll turn into, but so far looking pretty good.
Yeah, so far looking pretty good here, working through the later half of the lap, keeping that car nice and tidy to the double yellow line. We'll see if he can beat AJ Roderick in the 56. No one's been able to beat him yet. That time stood pretty good, but can the number 4 change things around?
49.346 puts him in 3rd.
And speaking of AJ Roderick, got Eric Wineland here with AJ Roderick.
Yeah, so I caught up with AJ Roderick down here on pit road. AJ, I mean, so far 10 have gone, and you're still sitting provisional pole. It must feel pretty good to start off season 4 like this.
Yeah, it's pretty great. You know, we got this car together last minute here and got through tech at the last few seconds. So pretty good lap. Not really getting much time to do anything and test or anything like that.
Did you think you had a 3.30 in you? What did you? I know you just said you didn't have much time to practice. Did you have any gauge of where you thought you would be?
The one test lap I went a 45. So I was not expecting to be able to run at about 33 like that. That's for sure.
That's awesome. Well, hey, so still with well, actually, Sky Motorsports basically dissolved now. So new team, but is this a full-time effort going into the Area Cup season, or is this just a one and done? It's the Area 500. I want to make sure I do well.
I mean, I guess it just depends on whether or not we win it, right? You know, if we win the Area 500, and then yeah, we'll give it a conceded effort. But if we crash and finish last, might change things for the season. You know, our budget over here at RWR is a little bit lower than everybody else, and so we can't be affording to replace these cars consistently.
Alrighty, well, we'll see you take care of it in the duel, I'm sure. And we'll see if you lead one of these duels to the green flag. AJ Roderick, thank you for taking the time. And we look forward to seeing you in the duels here coming up.
All right, thank you.
Tyler Shackelford works his way through turns 3 and 4. We saw Connor Horn do exactly what I talked about. Out of turn 4, kind of letting the car drift up just a little bit and leaving that bottom lane, but in the name of not scrubbing speed. It was a good enough lap for third. Where will Shackelford line up? 49, 387. Good enough for 7th place for the 88 car.
Yeah, middle of the order for him. Teammate with Connor Horn and Jeremy Miller. So pretty much right around with them at the moment as they run. Now Brad Slaughter Jr. getting out on the track in the 83 machine is an open entry tonight. So as another driver is going to have to race his way into the show, a previous winner of the Area 500, I would argue he knows how to get it done.
He sure does know how to get it done, and see the peach vibes there with the Celsius number 83. Heads up, we got another Celsius car that's going to be coming out tonight, but Brad Slaughter, Season 2 Area 500 winner. He was originally just going to do that race as a one and done, and then he won the race and decided, you know what, I am going to go ahead and have a run at it in the playoffs. So that's something that we could see done tonight if one of these open cars wins the Area 500, as Slaughter's going to come across the stripe, 8th quickest for the 83, putting down a 49.391. You can see all those 49.3s. It's just so slim, the margin for error here.
He was also, excuse me, Kyle, he was also the Season 2 pole sitter. He won from pole and the first ever pole in Area in the next gen cars for Brad Slaughter. So I was a little disappointed to see he didn't jump to the top there, but he's got another challenger on the racetrack, the 66 here of Brandon 6. I love this number now with his last name, guys.
Makes a lot of sense, and it looks the part too. Like this kind of half-tone livery with the blue and black. Good shade of blue on that car as well. Comes out of turn 4, and we'll see where he lands here. I think the multi-group session is why we're seeing that those times that are not quite representative until the position hits right here. There's the representative time. That's good enough for 5th place for the number 66 at Brandon 6.
Yeah, doing a good job getting the car near the front of the order. See how long he can stay there. I'm still just waiting for a driver to usurp the 56 AJ Roderick, because he's currently looking pretty good at getting pole position at the moment. We've seen him be pretty quick. We've seen what he's been able to do. See if he's able to hold on, though. Connor Kresick now trying to challenge him out there in the 14 car.
Kresick, a part of the newly formed Solid Rock Performance. I say newly lightly. They bought the charters from David Weishart Racing, so that team is no more. It is rebranded into Solid Rock Performance, and it's got Ricky Springer, a Final Four driver from last season, Rafe Slate, and Ryan Hartz as well. So this is a team that you're also going to want to keep an eye on, not only for the Area 500, but for all of Season 4, because all 4 of these guys, they know how to get the job done. And if you recall, late last season, as Okresic crossed the stripe, Okresic stuck his nose in and tried to go for the win at Auto Club. Didn't really work out. and we had a chaotic finish in that event. And Okrezik puts down the 10th quickest time so far, 49.407. And here's another new face in a familiar place. Back at Jacob Bell Racing, it's the 67 of Ryan Swan.
Connor had a busy offseason. Not only did Solid Rock Performance buy charters from David Weisart Racing, but Connor also is running Go Slow Racing in the truck series. You'll see yours truly on that team. Ryan Swan, for no longer Sky Motorsports, Jacob Bell Racing is where the 67 currently is in Discord voice channels. I believe he will be racing with that team throughout the year as well. Always 1-3. Some awesome paint schemes. I love this almost Miami vibe, right, Kyle? Like, we get the nice purple teal kind of mix. It's very Daytona-esque, Florida-esque.
Definitely feels like it. It feels very 1950s diner, which I like. I like that color scheme, the pinks and the teals and that sort of thing. Great lap there, 49.339. That's good enough for third place. And how about Roderick's time still holding up at this point? Really strong effort there as we wait for Chris Seidenfeiden to come back around. He's off into turn one right now, Finney.
And the eBay machine, that's a really nice looking car. It's been a while since we've seen eBay.
This is very 2003 McDonald's in terms of its color scheme here. Looks good.
It does look really nice. It looks a lot better than most of the actual Cup Series cars out there. Taking a look at him rolling on the track. Another open entry, so going to have to race his way into the show as he's keeping it nice and tidy with things. Can he be the first driver to get past that 56? He's been the gatekeeper up near the top. Jeremy Miller also locked into second place if that time can hold. A little bit wide, a little bit in the middle of the track, and then going to cut down low, but like everyone else, through the Geico restart zone and across the line.
That lap stands it's just off. 14th for Chris Seidenfeiden, 49.412. Very close lap times here. You see outside the top 10, we got a 407, 410, 411, 412. I mean, talking about the slimmest, the thousandths of a second. I mean, you see that for second right now with Miller and Swan. They both ran a 49.339, and here's JT Poole in the number 26 car. JT coming out to the track and to see what lap time he can put down. So he is also listed as an open car, so we're going to want to put down a solid lap time here as an open driver.
Part of Solid Rock Performance, just not a part of their chartered system here in the AREA Cup Series. Also, that second place timing is actually separated by 1/1000th according to iRacing as JT Poole crosses the line. Yeah, they have Miller at 338 on iRacing's timing and scoring, oddly enough, and 376 is what I have on iRacing. 377 for our timing. We'll have to figure that one out, but JT Poole slots himself 7th of the drivers that have taken the time. We get to see Bryce Senesac take a lap now, Kyle.
You know what's funny about that is normally it wouldn't even matter if it was down to the 1,000th, but when you get to Daytona qualifying, you're putting 3, 4, 5 cars within the same 100th, and you're bound to land on it. It's probably just a rounding error somewhere, but here comes Senesac out of turn number 2. I've had this software, which is ATVO, report different times on different computers in the same session. So there's probably a reason for that, especially if car crosses the stripe. There was a little bit of netcode or latency for one user versus the other, and for whatever reason, ATVO does not correct back. But here comes Senesac out of 4, a little bit of a wobble there, and across the stripe for the 09. Will it be a top 10 time for the 09 car, which she's got 09 written on the card? Pole! A 49.329 for Bryce Senesac, P1. What a great lap up by 1,000th on AJ Roderick.
Yeah, really solid job there getting it done. We're talking about how close the times are. Well, look how close they are now, snatching away that pole position. So Roderick demoted back to second. He also still has that position locked if he can hold on. Well, as this man, Jacob Bell, could somehow sort between the thousandth of a second between Bryce Senesac and AJ Roderick, but you can bet that at 77, he's going to try to go for that pole position.
The 19th driver knocks off the time from the first driver, AJ Roderick, and see that 1/1000th of a second. That's a huge confidence booster for Senesac. He really had bad luck all last season. Just always seemed to get caught up in incidents that weren't of his own doing. This is going to be huge for him, and see if Jacob Bell can put a lap time similar to that or quicker as he comes across the start-finish line here. Going to be a 49 Ford. It's going to be 19th quickest of those that have put down a lap time. But again, huge lap time there from Senesac as we have Jonathan Cogswell in the 27. He's still part of, I believe, Lucky Duck Motorsports, but listed here as an open car because they have Douglas Newbigging, Michael Sturgill, Cedric Hunter, and James Scioli. That is a huge addition to the Lucky Duck Motorsports team. James Scioli, big addition to them.
Yeah, they picked up some pieces over the offseason. Jacob Bell not going to be happy with that one. We may just have to catch up next to figure out what went wrong right there. Meanwhile, Jonathan Cogswell looking pretty good down here on the bottom side of the racetrack. Nice and tidy right against that line through turns 3 and 4. A little bump right there as you cross through turn 3 just before you reach the center of 3 and 4. Nothing that really upsets the car. Nothing that really upsets the speed or the height all that much the way the setup is here on iRacing. Jonathan Cogswell opting to not go below the double yellow line, coming to the checkered flag at 3.73. P7 on the board, 3.72 to iRacing. Man, these thousands are really adding up for some of these guys. I mean, Cogswell barely 1/1000 faster than 6th for that 7th spot. I should also note, Kyle, I don't know if we documented what the weather was here in Daytona, virtual Daytona, but we do have a dynamic session, so the wind is changing out there. Was out of the southeast to start the session at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. It dropped a little bit for AJ Roderick's qualifying, actually, oddly enough. And now it's kind of out of the east-southeast, teetering just below 10 miles an hour when Bryce Senesac took provisional pole. So conditions can still be favorable for some of these later guys. It's just the weather, whether or not that wind can calm itself down or help with a tailwind down the back straightaway.
Michael Sturgill did not roll when his position was supposed to.
He's on the server.
Oh, well, he's listed in my ticker, but not in the server. Robertson, though, will jump to 3rd place with a 49.336. That was a well-run lap for Ed Robertson.
Solid time for him to get himself up near the top of the charts. As we mentioned, Michael Sturgill, he was in the server at one point. He ended up leaving. Not sure why, so I'm not sure if he can join back in time, get another lap later. We'll keep an eye on that. But Seth Noel is going to be rolling off the next driver on the racetrack.
Well,
and
Can we hop on board with this one?
Sure can.
I want to see and hear how Seth gets through the gears right here. So they are letting him get above the double yellow line to come off of the road. So Seth straight out to the top lane. Pretty smooth through these gear changes, guys.
Yeah, again, the sequential transmission helps with that, but they're still on optimal RPM to shift, and you still have to be very, very quick with your shifts. I almost wonder, these sequentials don't require clutches to shift, but I wonder if there's anyone that would basically power shift it, slam the clutch with the throttle down just to raise that RPM while you shift. I wonder if there's an infinitesimal advantage to doing that versus just lifting and shifting. Because when you lift, that throttle body closes, and for a moment, it's gonna take that split second to open back up again, and that might add up around the 2.5 mile warm-up lap.
oh, it definitely will add up around that lap. Sorry, Eric.
I was say in my driving experience, Finian, I've not noticed that to really be a thing. It's always just been barely crack the throttle enough to get the revs to fall for that or to get the transmission to change to the next gear. The thing I'm noticing though, as I ride in his cockpit on my client side, we are staying in 4th gear for qualifying. We are not going to that 5th gear for these cars. So, and honestly, the RPMs look pretty good for qualifying. I mean, you don't really want to be redlining until maybe the end of the straightaways, but not even getting close to it. So 4th gear looks like the good qualifying gear for these guys. It's a matter of how many people are actually going to pay attention to that for their qualifying lap. Maybe they will now that they see Seth Noel doing it. Off of turn 4, car number 1. Kyle, points are looking pretty good here for Seth Noel. It's going to be 4.14. Actually, not very good. P20.
And Brownie will go. This is an open session too. So Chris Rabel, who is coming at him at speed, within a couple more seconds, he would have had it. It would have been very, very close.
You don't really hear about wrecks in qualifying with multiple cars involved, but had a closeness there with the 29 Chris Rabel now rolling out on the track, getting up to speed.
Looking here, an update on Michael Sturgill. He had some weather damage from a storm. Wouldn't surprise me if it's from the recent storms throughout the Midwest and even through here. Very windy, very rainy, had some hail in there as well. Got the front end of it. And he's also dealing with some PC issues after moving his rig around. So a little something going on there with the Sturgill machine. But here we got Chris Rabel in the 29 car. Very cool looking 29 car, by the way. So he's going to come across the stripe here, looking to put down a solid lap time. So he's a part of Bowie Esports. And it looks like it's going to be 11th quickest, so just shy of that top 10 of 49.378. As mentioned, part of Bowie Esports, rebranded from Keeping It Real Esports. Saw a couple of their cars go out there. Nick Silver, Brandon 6, and then the 12 of Frankie Barroso is yet to go out. And looking here at Douglas Newbigging, the other driver from Lucky Duck Motorsports.
So guys, I got a special one here for you. I got an interview with Jacob Bell. So Jacob Bell, we'll talk Jacob Bell, the driver, first here. How about that? So Jacob, you just completed your qualifying time, and it's P23 right now, second slowest. I don't think we're too happy with that one.
No, no, that's not the goal, obviously, but the big main goal here is to just get through this qualifying session with all the new stuff that's going on from an admin's perspective, a team owner's perspective, broadcast perspective, a little bit of everything is what I'm worried about. So trying to survive that was priority number one, and I think so far we're doing okay. It was a little bit of a rough start, but we rebounded.
Well, I was going to come to that in a moment, but anything exciting to expect out of the 77 car and Jacob Bell Racing throughout the Cup season this year?
Just happy to have Ryan Swan back. He was one of the original JBR drivers 3, 4, 5 years ago when we started. So to get him back in the 67 is really, really cool for us and our personal friendship. Happy to have Ed Robertson back as well in Cup, and Jordan Martin. Both those guys did really, really good for us last season. Started coming on strong at the end of the year. So looking forward to seeing if we can replicate another top 3 team finish.
We're watching Jordan Martin take his time right now as he pulls through 3 and 4. So now I'm going to shift gears on you. Going back to You're My Boss perspective, the head guy here at AREA. So what exciting things do we have in store for Season 4, not only here in the AREA Cup Series, but across the entire league?
Yeah, we're always trying to grow, obviously do things a little different where we can and where we can make it work. Tonight's qualifying, for an example, was a great idea that you really spearheaded and came up with, and to get single car qualifying, I think it's great for a number of different reasons. You got cars out there that are showcasing their sponsors, their teams, everybody's getting their focus for 60 seconds or so while they're on the track, and also introduces all of the fans and everybody watching at home to each of the drivers. So I think it's a cool thing, and it's just part of the forward thinking we're trying to have here. Obviously, you guys on the broadcast team do a fantastic job, so it makes us look even better than we really probably are. So it's a big team effort. Admins top to bottom puts in a lot of time here to help, and I can't thank them enough, and you guys as well. So just keeping the forward thinking going, and like I said, trying to be different where we can and be special. We have a lot of new teams this season, which is great. New team format, getting in as many new teams as we can is always the goal, because that really allows us to have those deep car counts, bigger fields, further on into the season.
That's awesome. Well, the last thing I'm going to leave off with was the issue we had at the start of the qualifying session. Just confirm our suspicions. Was it the furled black flags that were throwing everything off with the qualifying scrutiny?
Yeah. So the furled black flag they were getting was for sitting on pit road that extended period of time. So the admins, quick on their feet. Jacob Hudson and Carter Coop are doing a tremendous job out here running the show tonight. Came up with the idea to not basically send them out on the pit road until the cars are exiting turn 4 and getting ready for their lap. So it eliminates that process of them sitting there for an extended period of time, eliminates that furled black flag, and has allowed us to survive this qualifying session, which is, on a side note, this qualifying session on its own has been really, really cool and interesting to watch, and I'm happy to see Bryce was able to get a good lap down.
Alrighty, well, that is Jacob Bell, owner of Jacob Bell Racing, obviously, here in the AREA Cup Series, driver of number 77, and also the head man here at AREA, the president, founder, owner of AREA Racing League. Thank you, Jacob, for taking the time to talk to us.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Wow, that's the head man.
Head honcho, that the king, whatever you want to call him. He's the boss of the whole thing. Garrett Grant right now. We'll see if he can put himself on the top step, though, for the duels across the stripe. And it was a 49.354. It's going to be good enough for 9th place. Just top 10 for Garrett Grant, as Delonte Ballard now is the next driver coming to the stripe.
Yeah, coming to the stripe across the line. Seeing a Chevrolet this year and a different color too. He was in the black and gold color car last year for Sulphur Racing. Now in a more blue and green paint job in a Chevrolet. Kind of like a very nice looking car. One thing I was looking at, I was trying to look through some of the guys across the order. We're talking about running in 4th gear as opposed to 5th gear. The common trend I found, a lot of the guys near the bottom of the order, guys like Jacob Bell, all ran in 5th gear. All the guys near the top all ran in 4th gear.
Interesting to look in car with Delonte Ballard, and as you mentioned, there's a new look to the 21, some green on it. Bryce Senesac in the bright green 09 shot that car up to the top of the chart. We'll see if the 21 can do the same with a little bit of the look at the Irish, and St. Patrick's Day passed recently, so going to see if the luck's still there on the 21. It's going to be a 49.3, and it's going to be good enough for 14th on the board. And during that talk with Jacob Bell, I had Garrett Grant dethroned Culberson for 9th, so Culberson originally 9th. Grant took that spot over, and then as mentioned, Jordan Martin, 3rd quickest there with a 49.333, and here's the brother of Jake Nichols, Tyler Nichols from Solar Flare Racing. So back-to-back drivers for Solar Flare. See what the 41 can do.
Just like that, we're down to our final 13 drivers right here, including TK, Tyler Nichols right here. Nice heel in white, number 41. Solar Flare Racing Camaro. And he's looking pretty good here through 3 and 4. I loving the line. Nice and tidy down here on the bottom. See if he can keep down off of turn number 4, but not scrub too much speed. It looks pretty good, guys. He's coming back to the line to you.
Love the teal chrome look for Tyler Nichols. Is it going to be looking the best on the front row? 49.373, good enough for 12th place. Not a bad run by any stretch, as Rafe Slate should be the next car on track. And a reminder also, if you'd like to follow along, live timing and scoring is available. simtvbroadcasting.com/timing. That'll get you where you need to go. Rafe Slate heads off into turn number 1. Loop Technology Chevrolet Camaro, Finian.
Yeah, and also with now Solid Rock Performance, rebranded from, or it's not rebranded, but chart is bought from David Weishart Racing, so some slightly new colors on the number 8 machine as he's working his way down the back straight away.
Big numbers, too. That's a big 8.
Yeah. Got to get the branding car. I mean, hey, he bought the car, use it all up for that branding. Really nice, solid looking. I like the black and white in the. I guess more of a charcoal than a black.
Yeah.
But either way, coming through the final corner now, well, this 8 car with its giant 8 on the side, will it be enough to go to the top of the board? It's going to probably want better than 8th position.
Just don't show it to Teresa Earnhardt. Just please.
Oh, not as good as he would have hoped. 28th for Rafe Slate.
Well, now really don't show it to her. So we got the 2 of Greg Mitchell.
Might have been a 5th gear qualifying lap.
Yeah, it was. I was just checking his onboard. He was in 5th gear for that, so that's why he was near the bottom.
I wonder how many guys are tuned into our broadcast, Finney, and listening to this and making an adjustment for the qualifying run.
I'm sure the guys
listens to our broadcast during these sessions.
I'm sure the guys that are listening now after their qualifying run, they're like, "Oh darn, I should have thought of that," because now they're sitting near the bottom of the order.
Well, use all the tools in the toolkit. What I always say. If you're not watching your competitors and not trying to figure out what they're doing to beat you, then you're already behind. Or everyone else is copying you.
I mean, that's the thing, though. It's because this is an open qualifying session, so you don't even have to really watch us. You can if you just watch the inboard of all your competitors going around, you could have picked up on that if you weren't already. But yeah, like you mentioned, gotta watch your competitors, see what they're doing, pick up tricks, especially if you're one of the guys in the later part of qualifying. You have that advantage. Greg Mitchell jumps up to 10th. Cosmin Yonishiba in the 84, getting ready to start his lap in that beautiful Sunoco. Blue, yellow, and white.
That stands out, and that's a new addition to Miller Racing as well. Going to be solid for him, and was going to say Greg Mitchell, solid showing a season ago from Fazikis Motorsports, but Cosman, on the other hand, he's also had a decent showing from a season ago. 7 top 10s, was in the postseason. Average finish of 14th. Something that's going to bring a lot of, hopefully, better points days for Miller Racing, and see if he can pair together well with Travis Beckner, Garrett Grant, and Seth Knoll. He's going to work his way through 3 and 4, and yeah, just look at how awesome that paint scheme is.
By the way, Sunoco is the official fuel of NASCAR, and now the official fuel of Grid Life Touring Cup. Announced last
there you
week.
go.
That's a fun announcement for me as Yoneshiu comes across the stripe and goes to a 49.297 provisional pole for the number 84.
So not only does he have the talent with a paintbrush and the beautiful schemes that he designs, but he's got the talent behind the wheel and the speed in that number 84. That was an awesome lap from Cosman.
Isn't there a slogan, fueling victories?
Fueling victories for sure, maybe in qualifying too. Guys, just to put that in perspective, he has provisional pole by 3.2 hundredths of a second. The gaps behind 0.001, 0.003, 0.004. No one is ahead by a hundredth until you look all the way back until 33rd place. It's thousandths between cars, not hundredths, and Cosman Yoneshiu just put 300ths on Bryce Senesac. That's just a reference. Again, everyone else is within thousandths until you go down to 33rd place Nick Silver.
Cosman claims it's all wind. That's what he just put in text chat in the race server, but I'll be honest, I didn't see that wind really dip very much at all. James Scioli going to complete a lap here, 3.47.
That's a good lap.
For the number 7. It's pretty solid, a top 10 effort.
Wind. I love when they shut the engine off and you just hear the whooshing as they go by. As Weishart kicks off his flying lap.
Yeah, off he goes into turn number 1. I think one of the last few open cars we have getting out there on the track to put a time down. Working its way through. Beautiful red and black. It is funny, we were talking about before how he said he wasn't going to return to the series. Well, here he is, at least for the Area 500. See what he can do in here. I'm curious, I forgot, where did he finish in last season's 500? If anyone has that stat?
Your stats guy is going to get that for you right now. David Weishart finished last season. Never mind, I don't actually have that tab.
Wow, our stats guy sucks. Where's Larry Mack at? Here comes Weishart across the stripe.
20th.
I
got that.
There we go.
Finished
Hunter's
20th.
got it, picking up the slack. 49.383.
I had the qualifying open, not the race.
Excuses.
21st on the timesheets for
Qualifying
qualifying,
night.
so...
Also, those wide shots that you provided us there, Kyle, when I first saw that 33, I thought I was looking at a Tony Stewart Old Spice car.
It definitely reminded me of that. I felt like I had seen that car before. Now that you mention it, that's exactly what I thought of. Dom DeLeo back in familiar colors this season, and looking sharp in the Magyar Bank 22 Ford Mustang, Finian.
Yeah, one of the things, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That 22 car looked pretty nice last year. I think a slight refresh of the design. I like the little accents that he put in between on the black, on the gray part and the white of that 22 machine. Looking good, looking quick at the moment. We'll see, can he seal the deal? One of the last few drivers to put a time down. We are really getting to the nitty-gritty of this qualifying session here. Some really big names yet to put a time down. Let's see, can Dominic DeLeo upset the balance near the front, take the Sunoco car off the top? Nope.
Going to be a 14th quickest time for DeLeo, 49.372. Mentioned got a handful of drivers left, and this is the Area 500 winner from a season ago. We have yet to see anyone two-time the Area 500 win this race twice. We'll see if Travis Beckner can do that. Goes out for his qualifying lap.
Fourth gear driver again. I think everyone at this point has figured it out. But they might need that special gust of wind or the golden horseshoe or whatever the 84 used to get up to the provisional pole, but it was not close. So Beckner's going to need a little bit of luck, that's for sure.
I was going to say, you need a little bit of something to help you out when you're playing with thousands of seconds like this. Just a small adjustment, a small micro adjustment can really throw you off or gain you quite a bit. But that being said, that gap to the top of the board quite a bit by Cosman in the 84. Will Travis Beckner, last season's winner of the Area 500, be able to upset the balance? He goes, only 22nd fastest.
Hey guys, I'm down here on pit road, and I'm going to go ahead and catch up with our provisional pole sitter, Cosman Yonishiwa. Cosman, where did that lap come from? Because as Kyle documented, you're hundreds faster than the next guy compared to the next 20 cars are separated by thousandths of a second.
Yeah, and I also, my left side's hit the apron in turn 2. I don't know if you noticed that. I wiggled a little bit as it did that. It's all wind, honestly. I guess we just got lucky with the wind in the backstretch. I can't say that I hit the line properly, because maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I didn't get any practice today for qualifying. It was just, I basically winged it. But I do think it's all wind. You catch a lucky headwind, no, backwind, tailwind down the backstretch, you're probably golden.
Well, you certainly showed off that you've got pace in this car. How big would it be to start the Area 500 on pole for your second season here in Area?
It would be pretty cool. We'd get a good amount of broadcast time in that case.
One other question that I think we all have here, just how many paint schemes out here tonight are you responsible for?
I don't know, because I can't see them. The way the session is set up, we're not able to see anything but what the cars do either in our practice group, and until I hit the qualify button, I didn't see anything. So I'd say at least 4? Maybe 4, yeah.
Well, always those Simrat Market cars beautifully painted by your hands as well as the others over at Simrat Market. Well, Cosman, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. We look forward to see if you can hang on to this provisional pole as Ryan Hartz looks to complete a lap. Guys, here he comes off turn 4.
Down to the last couple of drivers. This is Hartz, then we got Michael Curran and Jake Nichols will round out the rest of the field. Here comes Hartz across the line, 49.388. That's only going to be good enough for 25th place. So the wind going the other direction now. We pick up Michael Curran in the 24 car. Late surge in the points last season and almost stole a championship, Finian, in the final moments of the season.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if he can continue that fire going into this season. He really did come out of nowhere. We didn't talk about him for most of the season, and out of nowhere, near the end, arguably where it mattered the most, came through and put in some really solid finishes towards the end of the year, especially at the finale at Nashville. We'll see now we're at Daytona in the 24 machine, now in a Ford Mustang. That's going to change anything. See if he can get near the front. Arguably, it looks like the times, guys, are getting a little bit slower.
Might be just a tad bit slower. Not sure if the wind has anything to do with that. I know that changes so often here as Curran going to come across the start-finish line in the new Flash Picks 24 for Fazika Motorsports. Going to be a 49.374. Going to be good enough for 18th quickest on the board. If you're into sport, I was going to say, if you're into sports betting, I would give Flash Picks a follow. They've hit on some pretty decent Major League Baseball parlays over the past couple of days. So if that's what you're into, go ahead and follow them out. Pretty good stuff.
If there's one person you can count on for the Area Sportsbook, it's Hunter Sleppy.
Here's one guy I can count on to win races. Jake Nichols. Championships, wins. What doesn't he have at this stage? Well, I can tell you one thing. Not a Toyota emblem on the front. This team has shifted to Chevrolet, and Jake Nichols has a new number as well, 73 on the side of this familiar liveried Chevrolet Camaro, but certainly unfamiliar power under the hood.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think he's going to care what's powering him as long as it's powering him to victory here, or at least a pole position coming through turn 4 will be the final qualifier here in the qualifying session just before the heats. Can Jake Nichols get up on pole for the Area 500? He will be so close, only up to second place.
He split the difference and went to second by 18 hundredths of a second, but the 84 of Cosman Yonishiwu will be your pole sitter for the Area 500. What a drive by the 73 and the 84 to get up on that front row. Senesac, and how about AJ Roderick, one of the first cars out, stays row 2, Finian.
Yeah, but that time really did stick throughout the entire session. So it really just showed you from the start of the session to the end, the track was quick at all different times. And poor Bryce Senizak, he put in the chat, he's like, my heart. Went from having a guaranteed second place is now going to have to race for his position.
You guys are not going to believe this, but your stats guy is on this one. And also shout out Jacob Bell because he also saw this. This is the same exact front row as last year. Or last season, excuse me. Except they're reversed. Jake Nichols was our pole sitter last season with Cosmin Yodashiwa outside of him, and now they're opposite. Cosmin got his pole this time around.
There you go.
That's wild. Here's a look.
Flat circle.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a look at your qualifying results. Well done, and it is incredibly close. The field is covered by 0.2 of a second, 0.204. And if you're looking at just the top 40, it's 0.131.
Yeah, really, really close. But actually, it's crazy. They're all close towards the back half of the field, a little bit more separated near the front. So you kind of got to wonder, what, especially for Cosmin Yodashiwa and Jake Nichols, how they managed to get that much separation in their times. But solid times for both of them, and also notably, only 42 drivers in the session, only 41 putting down time. So guys, that means I don't think should be sending anyone home.
No, at least not tonight.
I agree. With only 42 putting times down, as far as I'm aware with the area rulebook, that means all 42 are in a race session next week. Here on Sim TV, get a look at the standings one more time there. And it's amazing that some guys figured out fourth gear was the fast gear to be in for qualifying, and it really made a difference for them. But Cosmin Yodashiwa sneaking a pole, and that'll put him in the area preseason shootout next year. He's the first one to lock his ticket in.
Yeah, really solid stuff there, and exciting. This single car qualifying piece, you know, guys, while we've got a couple minutes before we kick off the heat racing this evening, the Daytona Duels, I'm just fresh, literally a couple hours ago, got it home from Carolina Motorsports Park for the first round of the Grid Life Festival Tour, which I announce and cover. And one of the things this season that we changed on our side was a new time attack format, doing something called the Podium Sprint, in which drivers get just 2 flying laps to set their best time in a finals session. And this, in many ways, is basically just a time attack competition. There's a lot of similar traits and things. It's certainly different on a road course versus an oval, where you have to be so much more precise here. But definitely a really fun battle to watch, especially as drivers climb that pylon late in the session, Finian.
Yeah, definitely. It's exciting stuff to see different drivers at different points in time getting their way near the top, getting so close. But really, I think we only saw one exchange of positions for the top of the timesheet, I think, between, actually, no, maybe 2. I think what we saw AJ, and I think we saw Bryce go, and then we saw Cosmin jump to the front. But they all stay near the top, so all of them put in some pretty quick times.
Yeah, very interesting how AJ Robert was the first car to go out and stayed in the top 5 the entire session. 4th quickest. That still baffles me. And also another, as mentioned, tough break for Bryce Senizak. Still 3rd quickest, but that starting position is not guaranteed unless he wins his duel. Then that third position will be guaranteed. We have the duels coming up in just a moment, but for, again, 2nd season in a row, Jake Nichols and Cosmin Yodashiwa don't have to worry too much about finishing position in their respectful duels. So they can just go all out.
Well, guys, like we said, this is qualifying, but this is also racing, and there are a couple things we have to talk about. Anytime we go to a plate race or these super speedway tracks, it's stay out of the big one. Typically, dual races are a little less chaotic, but there's always one that's more chaotic than the other, Finian. So predictions tonight as to which will be which. Is it witching hour for the first duel or duel number 2?
I feel like usually for the first race, everyone's a little bit more calm and collected. I don't know what it is. You know, I think everyone just kind of seeing everything out, and then everyone in the second duel watches the first one like, oh, we could do better. And then they proceed to devolve into absolute chaos. I could be wrong. Usually that's the way it works. We may see the opposite. I usually do know that one duel's clean, one duel isn't, so I guess make your bets now for which one's going to be which.
Well, fans, be sure to subscribe to the AREA iRacing Twitch channel for only $5 a month. You can watch all AREA broadcasts commercial free. You can also use the new AREA iRacing emotes in the chat and earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise at twitch.tv/AREA iRacing. Guys, the field is gritting and we're about ready to get rolling for duel number 1. Eric Wineland, this is going to be a fun one. 30 laps though. It's not super short, but it's not super long either. It should be about 25 minutes of racing if it goes green from flag to flag.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild one. I'm going to go opposite of Finian and say that this duel will be the chaotic one. I think we got a couple more of the newer drivers in the area in this first duel as compared to the second one. So we'll see how things shake out. The only guarantee here is Cosmin Yonishiwu will start on pole for the Area 500. So the rest of this is just going to be utter chaos as these guys try to figure out where they want to start the race. Kyle, I'm going to go... let's go with 4 cautions in this race over 30 laps. I won't be seeing these guys down pit road unless they need to repair damage or they decide they want to take fuel. But it's 30 laps. They can go easily 30 laps on a tank. So I'm expecting things to be pretty quiet down here for me. Just listening to the radios and giving you guys that radio active style stuff and see how things shake out for all these guys.
See how it goes. Hunter Sleppy, your pick as to whether or not this will be the messy duel, as we call it. There is, I guess, the possibility that both are messy or both are clean, but I think as fate would have it, we're going to be one or the other.
I kind of have to agree with Finian. I think this one's going to be more tame, and the second one's going to be one that's most chaotic. And I believe why that tends to be the case for both area and in real life racing as well. First duel, trying to get a feel for it. What can they do? Can they do 2 wide, 3 wide? Can they do all this bumping and banging? And then the people in the second duel watch that first duel and they go, okay, well now we know our limits. And then they push it to another extent. So I feel like this one will be more tame and pretty bold of Eric to predict 4 cautions in this first duel. I think you'll be lucky if you get 1, maybe 2 at tops.
Yeah, 4 I think is a little heavy on the cautions in a 30-lap race. If it was 100, I would say sure. I think the 4 is a decent number, but 30 laps, I think we might see maybe 1 or 2, depending on how crazy things get. I really am interested in seeing some of the drivers in this lineup, though, for duel number 1. Kazuno Shiwa on pole. Jeremy Miller, Connor Horn, 2 new, very quick drivers to this series. James Scioli in the mix as well. Dominic DeLeo, Brad Sauter Jr. only back in 15th. We know he can be aggressive, and he's definitely going to want to drive his way to the front.
Roasted Gems Coffee. Fans, start your engines with a fresh cup of Roasted Gems Coffee. Choose from some of the finest coffee beans from Colombia and Peru, or try the latest blended flavors of French vanilla and hazelnut. Use discount code AREA iRacing for 10% off your order at checkout at roastedgems.com. And of course, Roasted Gems is our starting grid sponsor for the 2023 AREA season. Buckle up, folks. We're qualifying for the AREA 500 next week. It's the biggest race of the season tonight. We set the field. The only driver that can breathe right now, Cosmin Yonishiwu. We'll see how aggressive he races, if at all. But the pace car makes the hard left onto pit lane here in just a moment's time. We're at the 2.5-mile, 4-turn monolith of Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing. Time to get it green tonight for duel number 1. Green flag flies and racing at Daytona. Lap 1 complete. Senesac leads the way. A couple drivers, Connor Horn and David Weishart, have dropped to the back on the opening lap here. Just trying to bide their time. Can't qualify for the Daytona 500 on lap 2 of a duel, Finian.
No, definitely cannot. You got to pace yourself a little bit, even though this race is going to be really quick. Notice a huge checkup on the start. A lot of people dipping out of lane on the bottom and behind Yoneshiwa, so a lot of the guys in the top went through. Now half of them are on the bottom as they split. Jeremy Miller leading, with Brian Senesek pushing him in tow.
One lap into the season, and I've already killed one spider, so that was almost a near catastrophe for me. But Miller in the 30, Jeremy Miller. I don't know why it's Luke. But Jeremy Miller leading the way here with Bryce Senesek in tow from behind. Two-car breakaway towards the front, and then double file through majority of the field. Connor Horn buying his time there in the back. Teammate leading the way for the moment.
And the number upside down on the roof of that car. So that's how they do it in dirt racing, isn't it? Because all the stands are on the outside. But here at Daytona, the roof number is specifically designed to be read from the inside of the racetrack. Connor's going to have to flip that around. But the outside lane now building some momentum. Looking a bit sketchy, though, Finian. Definitely not as orderly. I mean, there's orderly lines, but they're moving around a lot right now.
Yeah, and you can see now the inside lane taking advantage of that. You see Dominic DeLeo leading that charge. He's got Greg Mitchell in behind him in the 2 Ford Mustangs. So actually 3 Ford Mustangs on the bottom. He's throwing the 24 Michael Curran. They're trying to charge their way to the top. 3 wide in the middle of the field. I see Brad Slaughter, and that is Newbigging in the middle, and the sucker hole getting thrown back a few spots.
First 3 cars on the inside line being led by Fazekas Motorsports. Then there you see the 22 of DeLeo leading the way with Mitchell behind, and then 24 of Michael Curran as well. Going to get a big push here down the backstretch and heading into the turn. Meanwhile, on the outside still got Jeremy Miller and Bryce Senesek, and the 7 of James Scioli making his presence felt in number 7 Lucky Duck Motorsports car.
Lots of pushing and shoving right now, even through the corners. And there's, I think, a lot of, at this point, these guys have raced the next-gen car enough to know its tendencies, Finney. And think back to the shootout we had last week. That was chaos because they were relearning the drafting style. They've gotten comfortable pushing and shoving the next-gen cars here, but that could get them in trouble if they're too aggressive.
Definitely could get them in trouble. I think we're seeing these guys trying to be just a little bit patient here, kind of feel things out, figure out, especially considering who they're working with, figure out how well they can work with some of the drivers around them. Eric Wineland in the booth with us, or from down on pit lane. Eric, what you got for us?
Hey, so the first pit report of the year is going to go to whichever one you guys pick. I'll give you option A, Fazekas Motorsports, Dom DeLeo, or option B, our buddy Connor Horn.
Oh, guys, look out, turn 4. Everybody scatters Delonte Ballard on the apron, and he gathers it back up, but that was very close, a disaster as they left turn 4. It just got wild there for a moment, Eric, but now, carry on. Trouble.
Oh, wrecking all the track leader, or some of the leaders involved. Cosmin and Shiwu involved, the 45 Chris Seidenfeld and around, and Seth Noel also taking a loop.
Brian Hart's got a piece of that as well, and we'll have to go back and take a look and see how that took place. And it's a shame. We were trying to hear our first update from Eric Wine down on pit road. Couldn't get it out.
Yeah, I still have a pit report here for you guys, but we'll take a look at a SimRap Market replay here.
Watch the 84. So see the 09 jump to the bottom here, but the 84 on the bottom. But watch the 1. Oh, right there, the 2 car gets turned into the outside wall. That was a big one.
Yeah, cars spinning all across the racetrack. A lot of guys doing a decent job of getting on through, so someone get a late hit in.
Yeah, so watch the 2 moves up. Greg Mitchell right there gets into the 5 that then goes into the outside wall, gets a whole bunch of other drivers, and then Seidenfeld goes for a ride, gets the 84, and then he comes back across the racetrack and gets hit again. Watch Jordan Martin here trying to slam on the brakes. The 45 skids across, and then look out. Bam, the 3 absolutely clobbers him. Ryan Hartz.
And there's Connor Horn escaping with minimal to no damage, riding in car with Hartz.
And he did a great job slowing down. I think he's like, okay, I see a hole through, and then all of a sudden, Chris Seidenfeld appears, and both of them get some decent damage to either race car.
Wow, that was close. He almost got tagged again. Just all happened so fast.
You see Yoneshiba, he almost avoided. He went down on the apron, but then ended up getting tagged anyway, except for a pretty violent spin.
Then one driver that snuck his way through there pretty impressively was David Elliott. Let's ride on board with him. Ooh. That was very well done.
Yeah, went guns blazing through there, gained some spots, and managed to avoid getting any contact.
Pit lane's a busy place, Eric Wineland.
Yeah, so quite a few coming down. It's all damage repair for these guys. So the top 9 stayed on the racetrack. That'd be Senesac, Miller, DeLeo, Scioli, Martin, Nichols. That is Tyler Nichols. Pierce, Silver, and Delonte Ballard. So everyone else down pit road, 4 tires fuel. The only guy who had a normal stop was Douglas Newbigging. Everyone else longer than 15 seconds. So that is damage repair for guys like Cosmin Yoneshiba right here in front of me. Well, since there's not too much more than that, I do have 2 radios ready for you. I was going to let you guys pick on who you wanted to hear first. Our buddy Connor Horn, who helps out on SimTV, or DeLeo in the Physicus group. I'll still let you guys. I'll poll you guys. What do you guys want to hear?
Connor. I vote Connor.
You like Connor? Okay. Well, Connor Horn and David Elliott, I believe, are experiencing some issues right now. Just listen in.
I don't have force feedback. Me and David don't have force feedback. That's why we dropped back.
And he followed that up with, it's a Thrustmaster issue, but realistically, it's a Microsoft issue. He and his teammate Jeremy Miller were going over that. I did not quite get that recording, but Connor not too happy, but he's just dealing with it and managing right now. He just came off pit road, 51 seconds stationary there, so quite a bit of damage repair for that number 42. The other thing of note with that 42, roof number's backward compared to everybody else. Connor Horn's roof number is opposite and easier to read if you're a spectator sitting in the stands.
Well, that's a problem when they're on the banking at least, because it's maybe pointed the wrong direction. But he did mention that in the YouTube chat at the beginning of the show. He just realized it when he got on the racetrack, so there's a shame there. But, you know, it's interesting to mention the no force feedback thing. Guys, remember a long time ago, this is before the NASCAR Coke Series really got popular, way back when it was just, this was 2012, 2013. There were drivers that didn't run force feedback because you could just be so smooth without it that some deemed it advantageous. I don't think that that's still the case, but people used to do it on purpose.
I'm amazed I ever ran at a time without force feedback. I don't know how I managed to drive the car without it, because you just feel so disconnected. And again, at a track like Daytona, probably not going to matter a whole lot if you're going to lose force feedback. I'd say the super speedway is probably your best place. But when you're at an oval, short track, road course, you really need to feel what the car is doing. So it can be absolutely treacherous. I'm amazed that people manage to race like that for hours on end and manage to get out fine.
All right, so we got 1 yellow in for Wineland's 4 predicted yellows. Wineland, any more updates before we go back green?
We're a quarter of the way there. Keep that in mind, and we are only a third of the way through the race, so I'm maybe still on track. I'm a little behind. So the other radio was Physicus Motorsports. Here's the strategy for Dom DeLeo and company. This was lap number 3 when they decided to pull out a line.
Mike, let me know when you're clear back there.
I'm clear.
You want to try and go or no?
Yeah, whatever you want, man. I'll follow you.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So these guys want to get to the front as we go back to green, Kyle.
Green flag back in the air. Duel number 1 for the AREA 500. 1 yellow down, 21 laps to go. And there was a lot of movement, a lot of pushing and shoving in the early moments of this one, and I don't expect it to die down, to be honest. You see the 7 just giving an absolute huge push, and look at DeLeo to the outside lane with the aggression he's got.
I was going to say, we always hear the term cautions breed cautions, and we might see it here. We saw that aggressive move like you mentioned, 22 jumping out of line to take the lead, and they're off on the top lane. Right side is like now making move down low. He's being pushed by James Scully, and the 22 left out of dry.
Big push here from Senesac, given by the 7 of Scioli, and that outside line getting stacked up pretty quick. The first 3 cars are single file pushing away. The outside is getting backed up, but now they're going to have a big run here as Jordan Martin now makes his way towards the front. He's got no help. Yeah, I was going to say they're all merging to the outside line. Well, they were. Now DeLeo on the charge back to the front, but the front 3 are gone.
Big pushes and big shoves. Senesac, Scioli, and Martin. Jeremy Miller got left in the dust. Look at the shoves they're giving each other. Almost crashed each other down the back straightaway, as behind him they're three abreast. Yonashiu getting a big shove from, I think that's the 83 car in the middle, Brad Slaughter Jr.
Yeah, I was curious to see what they were up to, trying to see if they could break away, but now here comes Jordan Martin with a huge head full of steam, push from the 22. Martin now up in front, clear of the leaders. You see some, aggressive moves in the background. Everyone coming with huge moves, huge head full of steams because they're catching back up with the slipstream 3 wide in the middle.
They're racing like they're in Duel 2, but it's only the first Duel of the night, and you mentioned the blocks, the aggressive pushing. Saw that head into turn 3 the last time by with Jordan Martin was shoving the door, or slamming the door shut on the 22, who's now shoving Jordan Martin into the lead. They're running 1-2 now. They're going to both go to the outside line, leaving that bottom open for number 30 of Jeremy Miller. So he's got help from behind. That's the 46 of Silver.
Well, no shyness out of the 30 either. He was making big moves and isn't afraid. We've never seen him be shy on these super speedways before. I wouldn't expect new faces to prevent him from doing the same tonight. Brad Slaughter Jr. now has Yonashiu jump in behind him here, but they're losing some steam as Newbegin and Weishart work their way around the outside. There's a big shove to the back of Brad Slaughter Jr. Connor Horn up into the outside wall as he tried to squeeze 3 wide.
Yeah, Yoshiu, I think, was trying to side draft the 42, trying to stall the momentum of that outside lane to catch back up. And huge checkup in that outside lane now. There's some massive checkups in the middle of the field. I noticed some guys have been trying to take advantage of that, maybe lay back a little bit, and then use the slipstream catching up to then slingshot around several drivers. That's what I'm noticing a lot of these guys starting to do.
Here comes the red 33 of Weishart, and now making the move to the inside, Bryce Senesac and James Scioli. And look at this, now we got the whole gang back here. Martin going to jump down low, going to block Senesac, lead this time by. Here comes the run on the outside as the 22 of the Leo trying to take advantage.
The 45 and the 3 into the outside wall.
And the caution out again here at Daytona for the second time in duel number 1.
And the 3 and the 45 have found their way together again. This time a lot higher speed though, and the 45 looks pretty well torn to pieces.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that wreck happened. There was a huge checkup in that outside lane. I'm just surprised, if anything, how long it took to happen.
Have a Simrat Market replay here. Man, really started with the 3. There was more to it than even that, so we're going to break this down. Watch the checkup from DeLeo. There's the stack up there. And then the 3 gets hit from the 5. And into the outside wall he went.
There's actually a good chance they were able to not have that yellow, had the 3 not get turned at the last second.
There's netcode there, and you can see just a slight bit of netcode there. It looks like that was the 05 car.
Yeah.
That was going low. That's Luke Knapp.
I have a feeling that crash would have happened netcode or not, but neither was. Seidenfeld did everything he could to get off throttle, but even then, still couldn't do much about the 3 spinning across the front.
Yeah, we got Eric Wineland back with us. Eric, any word from that wreck?
Oh yeah, we got some words, all right. I want to let you guys listen in to David Weishart and his group that he was with, David Weishart Racing.
Yeah, the checkups are crazy, man. I'm sorry, Chris. That might be on me.
I give him a bad bump.
Yeah, I mean, there ain't hardly a driver up here that knows what they're doing in a fuck.
Whoa.
Yeah. My thoughts exactly.
We broke the Go XLR.
I will say,
Language so foul it broke the mic.
I was gonna say. I mean, look, I understand where we're going from there. I mean, the racing up front has been pretty wild, right, guys? I mean, we're racing very hard for a qualifying spot in a very long race. So I'm not exactly sure if they're going to clean this up, but so far we are on pace to have that 4 yellows that Eric Wineland was saying. But huge blocks, huge runs, guys. This is not the race that pays the big bucks. This is just the qualifier for it.
No, but what I think we are seeing is this is, like I mentioned before, this is a great test session for next week in the main race. So we want to try something, experiment with the draft, experiment with your teammates, trying to figure out any moves you can do, especially later in the race when there could be, around this many cars running in the lead pack. Might be a good chance to experiment and see what's possible, what's not possible. But I've been noticing a lot of guys dropping back just a little bit in the run and then using the slipstream to slingshot themselves around. And I think and we're seeing so many guys get those runs and then having to slam on the brakes really hard to avoid getting to a wreck.
Yeah, the blocks and the pushes, they've been crazy so far. We just crossed halfway in our first duel. Still have a whole nother 30 laps to go with the second duel. Well, I gotta wonder what these guys are thinking that are just waiting for their turn in the second duel. Do they attack it the same way? Do they go a little less aggressive? Because I didn't expect this much intensity.
Certainly didn't. I think Duel 2, those drivers are learning a lot, that's for sure. We've had a number of SimRap Market replays. Race fans, be sure to visit simrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. And race fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Loxahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the AREA Cup Series and see which driver will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. All right, racked up and stacked up going again. And Bryce Senesac, he has been fast, not only in the individual lone qualifying, Finian, but he has been up front pretty much all night long.
Yeah, that's the thing. We've seen a lot of comers and goers, but he's been consistently up near the front. And you can honestly probably even throw Jordan Martin in the mix as well. Really didn't talk a lot about him until we started going for the race, but he's also been sticking up there with the big guys and keeping it out. So I really got to say, between the 09 and the 11, you can throw in Dominic DeLeo. All three of those cars looking pretty good at the moment. Question is, with how chaotic this duel has been so far, will they be able to stay near the front when the checkered flag comes out?
Haven't talked about him too much tonight, but I've noticed him in the 5th position. Tyler Nichols has quietly worked his way towards the front, and not quietly, the 33 of Weishart has made his way towards the front, so I would expect things to pick up a little more, if that's even an option, because they've already been at the highest intensity level since the green flags dropped, but coming to 13 to go here.
Bryce Senesac has been no lower than 4th this entire race. Green flag back in the air, and Senesac fires off, but it wasn't too much. Got Scioli behind him, then David Weishart in an upper groove, then Cosmin Yonishiwu. Remember, he was in that wreck earlier and does not seem to be holding him back as we accelerate towards turn 1.
Building up speed, that top lane going yet again. The bottom has been really struggling to get hooked up at the moment. I think they're going to try to change it though. Dominic DeLeo getting a shove from Tyler Nichols now with Mitch Hunter. Nichols getting to the front. We'll see what he can do now.
Whoa. Being
second in the inside lane as you got a check up on the outside.
The 3 is not shy about going 3 wide. Same with the 83 of Brad Slaughter Jr. They are moving up and moving quick and bringing the 1 of Seth Noel with them. Hunter, it's getting pretty spicy. They are wasting no time.
Yeah, Hart's caught up in the last 2 yellows. Obviously wanting to make some ground up quick as we're nearing the end of the first duel. 12 laps to go when they cross the stripe. First 4 cars are single file. Yonishiwu still trying to get a big enough run. Maybe he could duck down low, but DeLeo leading the way on the bottom. And looks like it's Brad Slaughter still stuck in the middle. Actually, no, that is Brad Slaughter stuck in the middle.
Not anymore. It drops to the bottom. And Hart's up to the outside in the number 3. Now down the backstretch. Senesac leads with Scioli, Martin, and Weishart pushing. The inside lane is a Ford and a handful of Chevrolets lined up.
I was going to say there are a lot of Chevrolets in this field tonight, and a lot of them near the top of the order. In fact, the entire top 5 will Chevrolets. Lucas Knupp breaking that up with his Toyota Camry. Trying to see if he can get through at the moment. No clear way through because they're all lined astern. That bottom lane still struggling to get some traction.
Life imitates art as the bow ties remain the dominant manufacturer, not only in the Cup Series today, but in the AREA Cup Series as well. And Bryce Senesac leading the way for those bow ties, but now we see Greg Mitchell ducking down to the bottom. Going to get a some help from owner of Physicus Motorsports and teammate Dom DeLeo as we ride on board with Mitchell. But you can just see that outside line pulling 7 cars deep now that can go down if they want to, but now it comes a run from Mitchell.
Yeah, the outside stacked up as well. So the 22 is going to continue to push, and they're making up pretty good ground on the bottom lane as that outside lane continues to check up. But the front 4 really, all the way back to Weishart, they are still pretty solidly pushing. But next to Yoneshiwu and beyond, that's where this inside lane is finding some purchase as we hit 10 laps to go, as everybody wiggles and wobbles in that upper groove, Finian.
Yeah, Luke Canuck got a little bit of the wall on the right-hand side. That caused a bit of a checkup, but now that they're getting back under control, Greg Mitchell leading that top lane, switching with the 22. I don't know if that's really going to help a whole lot. Looks like they're starting to get something going here. Now, will anyone from the top lane jump down to the bottom? What's the game plan here, Hunter? You stay up top, or do you want to jump down the low?
Well, I think the one that might have to duck down would either be...
Look out, Jeremy Miller, 3 wide in the middle, bounces off the 5 and forced his way through, and Miller picks up a handful of spots. What a move there. The door closed, but he had his foot in it and jammed his way in up into 7th place.
Yeah, he's saying, don't mind me, I'm just making my way through. And moved his way through quite literally as he's now in behind Cosmin Yoneshiwu. I'm curious to see where is his buddy, Connor Horn, in the midst of all this.
Not really sure what happened there with Aaliyah.
Horn's the middle of that 13th. Yoneshiwu getting pushed from the 46, who scatters high. Guys, that front 4 is pretty orderly while everyone else is still fighting for scraps on the front doorstep.
We're seeing some aggressive pushes here. 46 catching back up to the back of Cosmin Yoneshiwu. Connor Horn trying to jump up top. 46 and Nick Silver trying to cut him off.
Once again, life imitates art as drivers are trying to get to the outside, it seems like, because I'm still at a loss with what happened with DeLeo and Mitchell. They had things going on the bottom. They're coming into the trial a couple laps ago. It just fell apart all of a sudden. Not sure why, but we ride on board with Jeremy Miller.
And look at the outside, leaving the 3 Reinhardts in the dust. And then Cosmin Yoneshiwu, Seth Noel diving to the bottom lane, and they're building up a charge, and they're building some friends as well.
That would be Seth Noel, sorry. Tyler Nichols in behind the 41, Hunter.
Yeah, Tyler Nichols and Delonte Ballard as they're trying to make some ground up, but they're the only ones on the bottom. Everyone else is so spread out, and then the rest are just running the outside, which that's got to be nerve-wracking if you're the 09 of Senesac, because now you don't know which one can make a move. Senesac is an open car, doesn't have to worry about qualifying in the Area 500, but has to worry about where he's starting. Mentioned, he qualified 3rd, was bumped out at the last moment by Jake Nichols. Otherwise, he would have had a guaranteed spot in the front row. Now he's got to worry about either the 7 of Scioli, the 11 of Martin, or even the 33 of Weishart coming at him from all different angles, trying to get around him because the winner of this duel starts 3rd.
I know they're boxed in right now, guys, but I'm keeping my eye on the 42 and the 30. They've raced a ton together in the past, and they've been pretty aggressive. They've been lingering in the background. And behind them, the 2.
In the background.
Greg Mitchell
getting turned by Ryan Hartz, and Ryan Hartz just cannot catch a break today. He's been involved in all 3 wrecks in duel number 1, and you see the 2 catch a little bit of air here with the caution coming out. 6 laps to go.
That was a wild ride for Greg Mitchell. Here's a look. Here he goes the middle. Gets hip checked slightly, and then bam.
You can see Hartz decided to go to the inside there, and just at the end got too tight. And man, that section between the tri-oval and turn 1, that's where you've seen all 3 wrecks happen so far.
Yep.
Same exact spot.
That's Calamity Corner tonight. Here's Luke Knupp.
Oh, goodness.
I'll wake
no option to break there.
So, this will set us up for a late race restart. Where do you want to be?
I don't know. Well, I know we have Eric Wineland with us. Eric, got a word for us on our last wreck?
So I'm going to try this, but just note, my GoXLR is acting up, so I'm not sure if you guys are going to hear this radio. Also, disclaimer, 4-letter words coming up. So if any little ones are listening to these broadcasts out there, you may want to plug their ears.
Dead yet, but the guy under me can't hold the line, that's for sure.
Yeah, no. The GoXLR
It's a big
failing,
racetrack.
so-
We can't quite get the radio from all the way across the tower.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that.
You gotta switch to
nonetheless,
radio,
Connor
too.
Horn was not happy.
Yeah, I could gather that at least.
You might have taken out the frustration on the mic.
Yeah. It's been rainy here in Central Florida, so maybe you got to switch over to radio too. No. We live in Jordan Taylor's hell from Circuit of the Americas a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
First NASCAR race ever. Uh-oh, the radio doesn't work. Oh, good. How will I ever be able to understand NASCAR's very complicated rules without a crew chief in my ear?
Yeah, just wing it.
So this will be interesting. Might come up on a unscheduled green-white checker if they get the one to go this time by. If not, then that would be a green-white checker, and I believe that would be the only one that we get to run. The rules stay the same, especially for the duels, but boy, talk about pressure if you're the 09 at Senesac. You almost had a front row opportunity. It just slipped away from the last qualifier, Jake Nichols. And now you got to regroup, refocus, and hopefully get another solid launch like we saw on that last restart.
All just to set the starting grid for next week.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a lot of pressure that he's probably underneath because now he has a chance to at least somewhat reclaim that decent starting spot, but now the problem is every single other driver behind him, except for Kazun Yoneshiwo, is also going for that same exact spot. So you can bet with how aggressive we've been seeing these guys get, give them only 2 laps and they're going to be a lot more aggressive.
I think an interesting point is in the real world, when you qualify in the duels, if you wreck the car, you go to the back. No such risk here. And we've seen drivers drive like that. So, will we get the one to go? Yes, we will. So this will not count towards our singular green-white checker.
And so they do wreck before we get the white flag, have the chance of going again. So it's almost like we have 2 attempts at a green-white checker. So really, I guess, question for you two guys: are we going to need that extra chance?
Yes. Look,
no hesitation.
The drivers tonight have just been absolutely going for it, and the restarts in particular, they've been absolutely. It's not bump drafting; it's slam drafting out there because they're just trying to carry so much speed on these restarts because you have to, otherwise you'll get swallowed alive. So. I think as we come to this restart, you're going to see people probably trying to lay back as much as they can without getting called on it and giving the biggest shoves they can, and no one is going to lift. The risk is you just start from the back next week, but that's not really much of a risk when the car isn't at stake either.
No, it really isn't. You can pretty much throw a lot of the risk out of the window. They're like, we'll take the backup cars out. No biggie, no big deal. Eric, you think we're going to get a caution?
I mean, if my 4 cautions are accurate, then yes. Absolutely.
It sort of looks more and more accurate.
Listen, I think half the field understands that this is a natural green-white checkered, so they're gonna get another shot at it. So, especially with the slam drafting, as you guys have mentioned already, that we've seen, I'm expecting to see some more carnage.
Well, pack it up, Buttercup. Here we go. Packed up, paired up, ready to go racing. Re-racked, restacked. I don't care what you call it. Pace cars off. 2 laps to go. 5 miles left in Daytona Duel number 1 for the AREA Cup Series. Green flag back in the air. Can we get back to the white?
Ooh, aggressive bump from Jordan Martin to the 7 of James Coyle as everyone's getting up to speed. Kazun Yoneshiwo trying to look up top. David Weishart sitting in behind the 09 Ascendants. I haven't talked a whole lot of the 33.
Got the 7-11 combo working on the bottom, and now they are really fanning out. Kazun Yoneshiwo making it 3 wide on the outside. Senesac stuck in the middle. Meanwhile, Scioli with Jordan Martin pushing their way towards the lead. Going to be close here.
Can they get back to the white flag this time through? Here they come out of turn 4. The 09 sucker hold in the middle. The 7 on the bottom. The 84 on the outside. He's safe. He's the pole sitter, but he's going for the win. 1 lap to go. White flag waving at Daytona. Can they get back to the stripe? No, there goes one car. That is
David Elliott.
He's gone. Up front, Yoneshiwu leads the 1, but who else is coming for him?
We'll see at the moment they're all lined astern up on the top side from pretty much back to 6th place. So Yoneshiwu's got no fight at the moment. Here comes the 41. As I say that, Delonte Ballard trying to come out of line. Jeremy Miller with a huge help for those scheme. Couldn't go anywhere, had to back off.
Look at the 22. The 22 is a huge run to the bottom, but now he's going to hit the wall of air and go nowhere. Look at Connor Horn up the middle, 3 wide. Here he comes from absolutely nowhere. Can he get a shove? Look at Senesac with a run. Here comes the 30 of Jeremy Miller to the stripe, side by side. They're crashing behind. Jeremy Miller almost, not quite. 2nd place in the duel. Kazman Yoneshiwu on pole and wins duel number 1.
Fantastic job for Yoneshiwu. He didn't have to do anything that race, but he said, you know what, I'm going to win it anyway. And he did, and secured that win. As you mentioned, Jeremy Miller is going to be finishing in 2nd, starting 3rd in the 500 next week.
Wow.
Wow. What a finish indeed. And boy, you got to feel for Brian Senesac. Led that entire way, was up front for the majority of it. You mentioned it. Wasn't outside the top 4 for a majority of the race, and then just fell apart there in that last green white checkered. But take a look here at the wreck coming to the finish, and just a lot of runs. And there's Horn getting into the Leo, and they're all over the place back here. But boy, Miller in the 30. Unreal effort there.
Yeah, the 22, watch him on the bottom here. Horn goes up the middle. The 22 kind of comes back up the road. And no one's lifting at that point. Into the wall they went. And what a mess behind him.
Yeah, Senesac ended up finishing in 11th, so he'll be starting 21st next week. And he's definitely going to be disappointed at what could have been. Almost going to have started on pole. Or, sorry, almost going to start in 2nd place. He's going to be starting 21st instead.
AREA Cup Series duels from Daytona. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. We get set for our 2nd and final 30-lap event that will set the grid for next week's AREA 500. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Hunter Sleppy, Finian DeCuna, and Eric Wineland. It's been a very interesting night, to say the least. Pole sitter 1, duel 1. The same couldn't necessarily happen in race 2. We'll see what happens here. Driver on the outside of the front row was Jake Nichols. I guess he could win, but he can't start pole. But his starting spot is already locked, Finian.
Yeah, his starting spot is already locked, so he'll be starting event. He will be starting 2nd place. Everyone now racing for the even positions. We got 20 guys lined up for the start of this race. Any particular favorites looking at the starting order, guys?
I would have to say Jake Nichols, because you'd be a fool if you didn't. I mean, he's won the championship the last 2 seasons, 2nd quickest in qualifying. To mention, Kanto Yoneshiwu won the pole. He already locked himself in the front row, but decided, hey, I want to win, and he won. So Jake Nichols got to have that same mentality.
Cal?
Really? I got to pick one?
Well, pick one.
I like AJ Roderick. He was very, very fast in qualifying, and I just think he's in a good spot here. Up on the outside lane, he's got Ryan Swan lined up behind him. I think he's going to be up front all night long in this simpler looking sim wrap market. This is like before they wrap it there at the shop, but I think the front row starting spot, that boded well pretty much a lot for a lot of drivers that started near the front in Duel 1. We'll see if he can hang on to it.
I'm surprised you guys didn't pick the obvious pick. Travis Beckner won this race last year and also finished 3rd at Atlanta, which is now a super speedway, whether you like it or not. I'm picking him because I think he definitely's got what it takes to get it done. Not the best starting spot, granted, starting back in 12th, but you know, he's got 30 laps to get up there. I think he can get up there in time.
Well, not a great starting spot, but what he can do in the duel is improve it for next week. All he needed was just a duel for the duel to improve his starting spot for the duel.
And apparently, we're not going to have more of Eric Wineland tonight. His mic has broken, unfortunately.
Man.
Yeah, but he did pick Nate Trito.
All right. That's the driver starting all the way back there. That is a Solar Flare Racing car starting 13th place. And he said earlier that he's on par with Jake Nichols. We'll see how it pans out. 30 laps is the distance here for duel number 2. This will set your outside for the Area 500 next week. Here we go. Pace car pulls off, and we're dueling at Daytona. Robertson leads the way out of turn 4, slides up in front of Jake Nichols to stack up on the outside lane though, and they're looking just as sketchy as the first group was. I think there's something to the way this car moves around at super speedways. It just doesn't look very stable. Roderick to the bottom now to cover off the car behind him, which is the number 4 of Cameron Hearn in new colors this season.
Yeah, I was going to say, he didn't really go anywhere at the moment. Now Cameron Hearn back up to the back of that 56, so now he can have a chance of trying to get up a little bit more, catch Jake Nichols and Robertson. Actually, as I say that, there goes Roderick to the bottom. He's dropping back.
All right, well, thanks for letting me pick him.
Well, dropping to the bottom now is the 67 of Ryan Swan, going with Garrett Grant. Those two make their way towards the inside. Brandon Six now takes over as the 3rd car on that outside line. See what Ryan Swan can do. Has a couple wins here on the super speedways. He's won in a Pro Series car, won in a truck, and has yet to win in Cup.
Jake Nichols up at the top, aggressive move to the bottom, trying to get past that Robertson, but he's by himself. You see Brandon Six and the 64 getting hooked up, and they are gone.
Whoa, look out. The driver behind him, that's the 5 of Garrett Grant. He gets all out of shape, and Ryan Swan chases his car down onto the apron. One of those moments where we're just pushing and shoving a little hard, a little early.
Also, a lot of guys dropping back. I'm surprised no one really. We saw the exact opposite in race number 1. Everyone wanted to be near the front. Now here, everyone wanting to be further on back.
Yeah, and Dean Thompson, safest of those from Carnage. Jacob Bell as well, but those two are keeping it safe for the most part. Still very early on, lap 3. Got quite a bit of cars up now. Just had another one make their way towards the inside. That is
Present.
Yes, indeed.
Jake Nichols giving him a big shove. Leaders splitting apart. Robertson goes to cover the bottom. A big run from drivers behind.
And Robertson got a huge punt from the 26 of JT Poole, flying into the back of that 64 to give him a shove. Really living up to the name of slam drafting with some of these guys. Speaking of which, now here comes the 73, Jake Nichols trying to catch back up. He's going to back off a little bit. Jonathan Cogswell leading that, not leading that outside lane, helping Brandon Six lead that outside lane. Second in line as the 66 led that lap.
Well, the 66 of 6 is first. And now on the bottom, you got Ed Robertson being pushed by JT Poole and Jake Nichols leading the way. Look at that, those 3 cars on the bottom worked so well together. They're going at it for the lead. Now the outside lane going to have a big enough run, but it's not going to matter because Ed Robertson's just shut the door on 6 for that first spot. Boy, they're trying to two-car tango their way out of this.
I don't know that that's going to work very well. This car, it'll let you 2-car tango for about 2 corners, and then you just end up tangoing yourself right back into a pack. Tyler Shackelford, we've seen him before, Finian. It's been a couple of years, but this is a name we've seen before on Sim TV.
Yes, indeed it is. He's the lone driver for 609 Motorsports. It's a team with Jeremy Miller and Connor Horn. So he's on his lonesome, doesn't have his teammates rely on, but it doesn't need him because he just dove down to the bottom trying to see if he can take the lead. He's going to have the 73 of Jake Nichols giving him a shove to the front. Up, and I'd say that Ed Robertson jumping back down below. Robertson doing a good job controlling both of these lanes in that Rick's hot sauce machine.
We'll stack up on the bottom. The 4 the 29 and the 81 of Dwayne Culberson, who admittedly didn't really have the best of seasons last year. Didn't really run where I think he was capable. And so far moving forward in the duel.
Now the inside lane's really starting to go. The 88 of Shackelford now trying to push Ed Robinson up to the front as most lanes are diving. You see now Brandon 6 trying to side draft, come down low. They're almost going to door each other out of turn 2.
Massive run there on the outside as now we're seeing more cars shuffle their way towards the middle. More specifically, Jake Nichols in the 73 and Dwayne Culberson. Culberson not a part of the 4-car Solar Flare Racing team, but still as a satellite driver to the team. But now that outside lane's just driving away even more now.
Yeah, I don't think the 73 went there on purpose. He kind of got spooked out as 64 got a little low at the exit of turn 2. And now look at JT Poole drop to the inside, passing Brandon 6 for the lead. And a big slam draft from the 51 of Springer to the back of the 8 of Rafe Slate.
Man, this really is the polar opposite from what we saw last week in the shootout with the Gen 4 Cup car. You got to be nice, gentle, nimble with that thing. This thing, just slam into the back of it and it'll work out fine.
There is no nuance in what they're doing right
now.
now.
There's going to be wrecking down the back straightaway, 51 turn. Big wreck on the back straightaway, caution out.
Holy cow, how did that only collect a handful of drivers? I mean, we got some going through the grass, but holy cow, that happened right in front of the leaders and knew immediately that was not going to work. Rafe Slate looking for too much there.
Have a look. For Simrat Market replay. Got to go back a little further. Catch the beginning of it, but high above. 8 chases the 26 over, gets into the 66, bounces down, grabs Ricky Springer, who then hits the outside wall and collects a couple others, including Travis Beckner and Shackelford, but not enormous hits for a lot of those drivers. The small ones, at least in terms of iRacing's damage model, they might get away with some of this here, but watch the outside here. The 8's going to fade over into the 66, and right there, just one little touch is all it takes. He's going to clip the 80 or the 66, comes back down into the 51, and then he's along for the ride up into the outside wall. Cogswell gets a piece of it, then it's all chaos behind him.
Yeah, Ricky Springer really getting the worst out of there, right there. That's a decent lick into the left rear. Again, hopefully you should be able to get that fixed, but not a good start already for the 51's night.
Beckner and Shackelford getting a little piece of that in there, but for where it happened, that's honestly a miracle that only those drivers got involved in, because it seemed like everyone behind JT Poole is going to get wrecked in that, but that was not the case, and we've had our first yellow of the second duel, and looks like that is the 07 of Hunter coming into pit road.
Yeah, a lot more takers than I thought we would see, to be honest. So the 07 of Cedric Hunter is just one of several. Like Garrett Grant is also on pit lane. Travis Beckner, who needs to because of the damage he picked up. There's the 4 of Cameron Hearn. Nate Tetro, who was Eric Wineland's pick on the Solar Flare Racing team. Tires and presumably fuel, not needed, but there's a balanced adjustment there with a little bit of fuel in the tank, and off and away he goes.
Yeah, and also of note for that incident, Rafe Slate will be getting a EOL, so he'll be dropping back to the back of the field with 2 green.
This caution really helps out Jacob Bell and Dean Thompson. They were both 15 plus seconds behind the pack, and they were in the safest spot because they were not caught up in that wreck. And there's a 70 of Dean Thompson.
Rolling back up.
Jacob Bell still down pit road as well, but yeah, these guys, you just crossed lap 10, still got 20 laps left.
He's going to cycle out to 11th here, which is the highest he's been in this race. Prior had only been as high as 17th. Still 5 drivers on pit lane: Grant, Springer, Slate, Bell, Cogswell. JT Poole, Brandon 6, Jake Nichols. Really like the raciness of the 66 car, though. I think he's looked pretty solid, Finian.
Definitely has. He's been controlling the field pretty well up near the front. I would have also thrown the 64 of Ed Robertson. He's not too far back. He's only back in 6th. He was doing a pretty good job until he got kind of shuffle and bully down a lane. So I'd say both of them, 66, 64, and the 66, have a good shot of winning this thing if they can get up there, stay there, and control the field. And I really think, though, that controlling the field is going to be one of the most important things.
So, 20 laps to go in duel number 2. We made it a little further in this one. Do we think this is going to get crazier from here, or do you think this one will run green to the end?
That's kind of tough to say. I have a feeling it might go a little green. I think there might go another 10 or so laps till we see another caution. They're looking a little calmer than what we saw in duel number 1, but that's just my opinion.
I think we get maybe one more yellow. I don't know if we'll get 2 more like we saw from the first duel, but you know, anything can happen. You literally saw that, which what brought out the caution. But I will expect one more yellow to come out before this one's over with.
Lots of wave around still. Carrying lots of speed onto the back straightaway while the rest of the field gets prepared to take the restart here in turn 3.
Getting double foul ready to go. 19 laps when they come to the start-finish line. See, JT Poole, he looked like he can be aggressive. Haven't really seen a whole lot of him near the front. Now, leading a lane, we'll see if that can help him out a little bit. As well as also we got some quicker drivers near the back, shuffle out of order. They're going to be probably pretty aggressive, trying to race their way back to the front. So we could see that yellow come from that.
Re-racked, restacked in AREA Cup Series duel number 2, setting the outside lane for next week's AREA 500. Poole on the outside, he's got the advantage. Green flag back underway here from the World Center of Racing. Oh, 14 of Okrezik jumps up to the outside ahead of Poole, and Chris Rabel takes the 81 of Culberson with him to the bottom.
67 Ryan Swan ducking down below the double yellow line. He's going to drop to the back early on, saving his stuff for the end. Connor Kresick, though, he's going to have a huge head full of steam trying to catch the leader. He's got the 26 JT Poole behind. If they can make a move, might be able to snag this lead as we're on board with Dean Thompson.
And Thompson's got places to go. People to see. He is working his way towards that top 5. He's currently in the 6th position. Gonna get tucked in line behind Ed Robertson. Now they're making their way towards the bottom. Still Brandon Six and Jake Nichols on
behind
that
him.
outside.
Crash.
Whoa.
81 involved to 51.
And the yellow's going to come back out just like that. All right. Well, that
was quicker. Yeah.
Right back to yellow, lap 13. And they were basically smushed up against the wall. The 07 of Cedric Hunter also slow. Right here. 51 up the middle, the 81, does he drift? Just a little bit, and there's the impact.
Yeah, just a little bit, but it was enough to initiate the contact, and then 51, 81, and the 07 all getting the bad end of that.
Then Ryan Swan dropped towards the back to get out of trouble, and he got closer towards trouble.
Yeah, it ends up like that sometimes.
Bam. Ooh, that was a motor on the 07 also. I think he, when he got hit, you heard it go bam, and that was, I think that was the engine. Yep. That will be it for the 07 tonight.
I'm not surprised by that. It didn't seem like that hard of a hit.
He hit pretty hard. I mean, not front on, but he hit hard enough that I would expect there to be terminal damage. Just I would have thought suspension over engine, but
right.
Damage is just the same.
But quickly back under yellow here. Connor Kresick now in the lead. And now I think about it, I don't think, what is Connor Kresick's highest finishing position? Because I don't believe he won a race last season.
Got really close. Think back to Auto Club Speedway. And was in the final corner and That's
Oh,
where
yeah.
Michael Curhan got his win that vaulted him into playoff contention.
Yeah, looking at Krezik's stats, not the greatest stat book. His best finish is 12th at Pocono. Every other finish has been outside the top 20 in his other 5 starts. So I think he's going to be hoping for a better season now, a different team. New livery on the car, hoping for some better luck this season. So far, it's looking pretty good, leading this very first duel at Robertson in 64. Right in behind, not right in behind, a couple positions further back in 5th.
About to cross halfway through the second duel. Still trying to get everything sorted out here. And race fans, be sure to check out shop.areairacing.com for merchandise to represent your favorite drivers and teams. Shop from our brand new selection of champion t-shirts, jackets, hats, and more. Easier to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. That's shop.areairacing.com. Brand new revamped website. Changed up the merch a little bit, got better quality, and as mentioned, got champion branded hoodies and t-shirts. Oh, it looks so great. And we got AREA iRacing Bass. Well, we used to have the collection, don't have it anymore, but still have some top of the line merch with better quality, and as mentioned, got that champion logo on it. So that's how you know you're gonna get the best value for your dollar, as we're coming up on 1 to go on the restart.
Re-racking, restacking. Okrezik will have the choice this time. JT Poole to the outside. Got Jake Nichols lined up behind him this time. Chevy, Toyota, then 3 Chevys lined up on the inside for this restart, as we are just past the halfway point now in duel number 2.
Getting ready to go racing yet again. So guys, looking at the cautions, you think maybe more than the first one? Because I think we only ended up with, what, 3 cautions in duel number 1? So, over, under?
I'll go with over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're technically one more. We're not even gonna be under. We're gonna be at it. So I think over at this point is looking like a safe bet, but we'll look and see.
So, all setting the grid for the AREA 500 next week. And it'll be live on SimTV on twitch.tv/AREA iRacing and youtube.com/SimTV broadcasting. Full season of AREA Racing live again, even as the real racing season kicks off and Kyle gets on a lot of airplanes and a lot of buses and goes a lot of places. We're going to keep you running all through the year. And just kicking things off as the trees come back to life and the grass gets green and the snow goes away. Central Florida, though, no snow here. Lights on the World Center of Racing. Here we go, green flag, 14 to go. Dean Thompson a little bit wide there with Travis Beckner behind him. He's going to go middle for a moment, now gets back in line as Okrezik gets a shove from JT Poole. But look at Brandon Six ahead of steam with the 64. And look who's back. AJ Roderick back inside the top 5.
And getting his nose back in there, was quiet the first part of the race. And when he picked him, he immediately dipped on back. And now has found his way near the front here in the later half of this race to see if he's going to make a move. That 14 of Okrezik's for the outside lane starting to get a little bit hooked up, and they're going to start pushing forward, especially with Jake Nichols out there in the 73.
So far, first 2 cars are clear on the bottom. Now Robertson looking for the lead from Brandon Six. Meanwhile, you got Okrezik being pushed by JT Poole. Going to get stacked up here on the outside. Nichols got to go in the middle.
Checkup.
Stacking up. And there you see Rabel again, feeling the effects of that checkup and dropping towards the back. And now we got Robertson leading the way on the outside.
It's like a slinky. It just from one link to the next, all the way down the bottom of the field. And now Robertson leads Roderick on the bottom. Look who he has behind him. Eric Wineland's pick, Nate Tetro.
Okay, Tetro trying to give the shove to Roderick to push him up near the front before one of the guys on the outside come on down. Because that's what I've been noticing, especially from the 66 and the 64. And as I say that, Robertson coming down low to the bottom lane to control it.
Ryan on board with Nate Trito as he's continuing to pursue the bottom, trying to get that momentum rolling.
I just like this 66, though. I think he's got the right level of aggression. He's been controlling the field pretty well, but he can't control this. The 73, top to bottom elevator move. He's going to take it right to the lobby and right out to the front. Jake Nichols leads this race.
Made it look easy. Just saw the gap. No one was going for it. Had the momentum and went there. No one stopped him, and he's going to lead that lap. We'll see how long can he lead the race for, because 6, he's losing momentum now, but that 14's pushing hard on his bumper.
Ooh, gonna get close there with that bumper alignment there with Kresick and JT Poole, but Jake Nichols cruising with Ed Robertson and AJ Roderick on that inside line. I'd have to say this is probably the calmest they've been so far.
Yeah, I was going to just make that same comment. At this stage in the race, this is when it was just getting wild. Look at the 9, though, to the outside with big help from Cameron Hearn. A big shove now, a forceful shove. 6 falls back to 9th. The JT Poole car in the background, who will led a bunch of this race, is way back in the inside lane. And Jake Nichols, the outside front row qualifier, he's got nothing to lose to win this race. There he is up front.
Yeah, that outside lane died pretty quick, so we saw the 66 of Brandon 6 lose his partner in crime, and then now he's got the 4 and the 9 to deal with, although they're struggling to get hooked up a little bit. Ooh, some bumps between both of them. Chris Rabel now jumping to the top side, aggressively looking to the outside of Roderick. He's now stalled, though, but here comes the 14.
We get a big push here, and look at the 77 of Jacob Bell. Where did he come from? We haven't seen him all race long. Now he's inside the top 5 as they're 3 deep behind.
They're not as organized on the upper groove right now. Look at the 28 now move up to the high side to pick up the 2, or the 29 rather. But the inside lane looking much more organized. They know who's pushing. They know who's got what role. The outside lane is actively hiring and firing right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, Rabel jumped up there. Now Beckner in front. Maybe they got something going here. They just need to get at least 3-4 cars hooked up, but they're still losing some ground here. Still trying to get organized.
Still got some time left for those that are towards the back, or especially on the outside if you're Travis Beckner and Chris Rabel. Don't forget about Nate Trito as well. He could always make things interesting, but first 4 cars are now single file where they can break out, make a move, and that's what we're going to see Jacob Bell do. Very close there with AJ Roderick. Now Jacob Bell leading the outside with a massive push from Beckner.
He slid, he slid, and he took that spot away. 3rd place, now maybe giving a shove to 2nd from Beckner. Last year's Area 500 champion, and now Jacob Bell leads this race.
Really solid job there. I don't think he necessarily wanted to do that, but him making some contact that disrupted the inside lane just enough for him to get to the lead. From back low, he goes back high to control that top lane with Beckner. Maybe potentially bring Beckner with him.
We get a big push here from Beckner, and he'll be able to duck down low, block the run from the 73 of Jake Nichols, and kind of a tough situation here if you're Jacob Bell, because your teammate right behind you, Ed Robertson, kind of sandwiched between Jake Nichols, got nowhere to go.
Well, he was doing everything he could to control those lanes, but there's just too much momentum, too much pushing and shoving. You can't control it. Everyone's just going to just shove the guy behind you, right past you, behind him. The crash, the 8, the 70's involved. Dean Thompson goes for a ride. I think they're going to get away with it, but the caution is out.
Only 2 cars involved, relatively minor damage, at least at the moment. Caution lays for the 3rd time in duel number 2.
Watch the 8 and the 70. They were pretty far apart at this point. Does someone go high? Does someone go low? Oh, it's the 4 of Hearn.
Bad bump.
Just clipped them.
And they just missed each other. As far as damage goes, they should be fine. But it's an awkward placement. Dean Thompson didn't want to go anywhere there. Got kind of put off line from behind Okresic, didn't want to make the pass. had to check up, and the 4 just didn't know that, I don't know if he thought he wanted to go for the middle or what, but right here. Didn't lift. All right, guys. Similar scenario to race or Duel 1.
Yeah, I think so. Might get either 3 or 2 laps to go before we get to a green-white check. So it's going to be close to see with that, and also quite a few cars still running. Ricky Springer, you saw him flying around the outside. He's going to get the lucky dog, and then that will leave us with 18 cars on the lead lap.
I think we're gonna get a restart with 3 to go and not another green white checker. Going to be close though, but I believe we'll get a green flag with 3 to go.
All right, so who's got the right stuff to win this race? I'm not great at picking this sort of stuff. I thought at first the 56, then I thought the 66. Neither are really in position, but of the two, I'm going to put my money more on Brandon than I am in AJ at this point. I just think he's been aggressive. He's been up there. He's led a couple laps tonight. I think Brandon 6 finds a way to get it done, but Jake Nichols and Travis Beckner are also a pretty stout pairing there up towards the front.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm still sticking with my pick. Travis Beckner did a really good, solid job. Was a little quiet in the first half of this race. Poked his nose near the front where he needed to, and is looking pretty solid, pretty quick. So I think he's got what it takes. And it looks like we got Eric Wineland back with us. I think he's fixed his mic issues. Eric, just in time towards the end of this race.
I'm sticking with my pick, gentlemen. Nate Trado is still going to find a way to win this race. Just because I've literally been troubleshooting a GoXLR issue the entire time. So, great coverage regardless. But no reports from pit road. But I am standing behind my pick. He will restart 9th. And, I mean, heck, if you're if you're Dean Thompson, who was just involved in that wreck, I mean, you could still win it from 15th.
You can still win it from anywhere. We saw what happened at the end of Duel 1 and how many cars were sideways and upside down coming back to the start-finish line. So certainly don't count yourself out. But you got to put yourself in position because you're not guaranteed to get that level of chaos. I'd rather be up front and spin and lose the opportunity than be 15th and never get it.
We'll see what happens here. So coming to the line here, we should get 1 to green if iRacing decides to cooperate. That means we have a 3-lap shootout to the end. And I would argue that makes a big difference.
It does. There's a lot more time for momentum to build and for packs to form and dissipate. And the term earlier, hiring and firing, at this point, you've had a pretty good look at your potential employees for that upper groove or the bottom groove, depending where you are. And you're going to reassign them to do some work for you here on this restart, but there's not a lot of time to get it done.
No, there isn't a lot of time. And there's also the chance they could wreck before we get to the white flag, in which case we will actually use 1 green-white checkered attempt that we have in store. And I think that's not too long of a possibility. These guys have been, for the most part, keeping it clean. There have been some minor things, minor incidents. No real big wreck so far, but you can see that could change here with Jacob Bell leading this entire pack. And what would turnaround would this be for Jacob Bell? Started this duel in 20th after qualifying in 40th out of the qualifying run. So up here near the front, he won't be starting on. Won't be starting in 2nd. If he wins this, he'll be starting in 4th. That'll be a lot better than starting 40th.
Well, Daytona is not won on strictly speed alone. It's won with racecraft, and Jacob Bell qualified 40th on speed alone. Now you factor in some racecraft, and Jacob Bell all of a sudden looks like a driver that could win the AREA 500 next week. With rebranded Florida Estate Builders on the nose and sides of this car, getting them out into the limelight here as the cameras show the front row coming back to the stripe. 3 laps is all it will take. We need to go 2 more laps to get that white flag. Then we'll be green to the end no matter what. Here we go, green flag in duel number 2 at Daytona. Not a lot of gap, or too much gap, I should say, behind Rabel. Back to the 66. That will let Nichols and Beckner and Robertson push their way to the front.
Yeah, they're already off to a really solid lead. You can see Jacob Bell trying to pinch down from that top lane to the bottom lane, trying to see if he can get some sort of side draft going. And there you see Nichols jumping to the top, aggressive pushing and shoving on the top side.
Look at this. Oh, there they go.
Oh, there they go. Oh, that's a lot of cars.
And there's the big one.
Yep. Oh, my goodness. Well,
and they're still wrecking in turn 3.
Just the Jake and Jake show that got away scot-free.
That was a big one. I don't even know where I'm supposed to look. It's already in progress. We're going to have to watch this one in slow-mo here. The 73 threw a big block, and it stacked up this outside groove. And then the 29 looks for the middle, and then JT Poole, I think, right there. The 66, and is that the 27 that get, or the 67?
Beckner just gets clipped.
Yeah. There's some big hits here. Some of these drivers, a 67 hits pretty hard. 5 of Garrett Grant gets through, but watching this at speed, this is you're gonna feel this one.
A lot of shoving, a lot of braking, and then gets turned a little bit and gets turned a lot.
Ooh, then watch ahead of him. Right here.
Oh, yeah. Man. They didn't want to stop.
No. Then Skylar Shackelford. He's part. Does he get through it? He did. Oh, man. Who was that got clobbered there at the end? Is that Garrett Grant? Might have been.
Ray Slate.
Ray Slate in the 8.
Connor Horn just put in the chat, stop wrecking in front of Skylar, guys.
The second time he said that, right here. Oh,
wow, his car got airborne getting back onto the banking.
Yeah, that was a big hit. And then he gets hit in the driver door by the 4.
Cameron Hearn.
So that was a big mess there. That will put us into overtime, guys, and this is our one and only attempt at this. Here we go. Eric Weinland, what you got?
Caution number 3 or number 4?
Lost count.
I believe this is number 4.
I mean, I have enough fingers for it. I just haven't been keeping track.
Oh, well then I must have got the caution numbers mixed up in my pre-race script. So the note from, let's see, these guys keep changing their team names all the time.
Sorry?
Yeah, absolutely. Bowie Esports is now the team name. Brandon 6 and Chris Rabel reporting. Here's Brandon 6 on his car after that, right?
And then all of a sudden,
Bro!
I got ran over. Yeah. Both front toe links were destroyed.
With an emphatic Travis Beckner on the in-session radio, very upset. So we won't be seeing Mr. 6 and the 66 back out on the racetrack. Everything destroyed there. You guys saw Rafe Slate also pretty destroyed. Realistically, I mean, only one person came down, 2 people off of pit road currently. 3 people now after fixing damage. So that would be AJ Roderick in the 56, Chris Rabel in the 29, and Cameron Hearn in the 4. The remaining are just now pulling off pit road with over a minute of damage repair. That'd be Garrett Grant, Ricky Springer, and my pick to win, Nate Trado, I don't think is going to win, gentlemen, after picking up a lot of damage there. So I like your quote, Kyle. It's the Jake and Jake show.
That was Hunter's.
That's what I said.
Hunter, excuse me, yes. I'm sorry, Hunter.
So, Jacob Bell and Jake Nichols will bring us back to the green flag. If we get a yellow, the race, this duel will be over and will freeze the field. Jake Nichols is already guaranteed a front row start. He's just here to, I guess, pad the paycheck here a little bit with a little extra dual cash. But as far as...
how interesting would that be if we saw both duels won by the guys who started on pole for each of them? Kazunori Shiu starting on pole for the 500. Ended up winning duel number 1. Jake Nichols secured a spot in 2nd. Could win this race too.
It would just it would make my picks next week easier, Finian, if they would just do that. because I know that they have both A, racecraft, and B, single car speed.
And we'll see. And you have on the polar opposite of that, Jacob Bell, who started dead last in this heat, trying to see if he can win this, and well, not start ahead of the 73, but right in behind him next week.
Boy, this would be a huge win for Jacob Bell since he's been in AREA, or since AREA has been a thing. His best finish in any of the races that he's been in came at Gateway back in Season 2 of the Truck Series with a second place finish. If he could just win this duel, that would be a huge confidence booster heading into the AREA 500.
2 laps left, 5 miles in the AREA 500 duels at Daytona. We're back underway, and the outside lane did not go. Look at the 9.
Yeah, did a bit of a Kyle Busch start, caught back up a little bit, slow down, waited for the green, then jumped to the outside, so got a little bit of a jump. And 73 up near the top already, trying to pull away with Connor Kresick and Jacob Bell in tow.
I remember the last time these two were nose and tail. Kresick ended up turning to 73 of Nichols. That was back at Auto Club. Could be a different tail here as they're heading into turn 3.
Here comes
Can
one.
he make it to the white?
Oh, the 88 of Shackelford to the bottom, but with what help? He's going to have to wait on the 81 of Culberson. Nichols has the advantage coming to the white flag.
I'm surprised Jacob Bell didn't decide to make that move himself with the run he had, but white flag's going to be in the air. Jake Nichols leads them down.
Final time around Daytona, and Jacob Bell in third. He can make the move down low if he wants to with that Robertson, but up front, Jake Nichols leading the way with O'Kresick still pushing on his bumper.
Here comes the 77 and 64. To the bottom goes the 77. Robertson went with him, but they're back up behind the 14. Now the run down the back straight. Is anyone going to back up to 73? Here comes the 77 again to the bottom. No, he swings back.
The feint, he's trying to keep him guessing, I guess, to see when they make a move, but he's got to pick soon. He doesn't have any help now.
Oh, here comes the 14 of O'Kresick to the bottom. They're banging doors out of turn 4. O'Kresick and Jake Nichols side by side to the stripe, but Nichols is going to win Duel 2, solidify his outside front row start. Jacob Bell will line up behind him next Monday.
Well.
Oh, well.
Yeah, well, indeed. That was a bit surprising. I'm surprised that he didn't make... I think he needed to make the move just a little bit earlier. I think when he made that feint down into turn 3, he should have kept with it because he lost his partner.
So this is a first where the front row wins both duels. So really, it was just a race to see who could get second.
Wow.
And Jacob Bell got second. So yeah, that means he's going to be starting 4th on the second row. So Jake Nichols gets the win for the second duel, but really all that matters is second place, and well, that's the only time it'll matter is in the duel, as Jacob Bell wins that spot, and that means he'll start in the second row as the fireworks light off on back of Lake Lloyd. And boys, this was a crazy night of not only qualifying, single car qualifying, but the duels as well. A lot of action.
Oh, tons of action, Hunter, and I think we learned a lot about next week. The mobility of these cars, the amount of pushing and shoving you have to do. It's going to be an aggressive AREA 500, Finian, but I also expect surviving it. It's going to be a bloodbath next week, so you're going to have to be on top of it, and maybe there's some strategies to just make it to the end.
That's going to be the interesting thing, really, seeing what these guys are going to take away from these two races, seeing how aggressive the draft is. We could see the opposite happen, where everyone plays it very nice, very calm. Or we could see similar thing what we saw happen tonight. But again, there's a lot more at stake next week than there is this week, with the 500 itself and the first points of the season being dished out. So there's a lot more to lose next week. Curious to see how much these guys are going to risk it.
That'll be very interesting to look at, as I believe Eric Weiland has joined us from pit lane. Eric, what did you think about the duels, and what are your thoughts heading into the AREA 500?
I cannot believe that the two front row sitters have won their duels. I don't know that. I mean, has that happened in the history of NASCAR before? I'm not sure. You'd probably have to date back pretty far to when the cars and the engineering was way different in NASCAR. But a lot of guys learned tonight. That was the big thing I take away from this. A lot of learning in the draft and how how your fellow competitors race, some new faces here in area, some new team alliances you got to get used to. So not surprised to see Cosmin Yonishibu and Jake Nichols win their respective duels, but definitely surprised with how these guys raced. Not too much to lose in these duels, but come next week for the Area 500.
Yeah,
the Area 500, it's going to be wild.
Make sure you check the area social media for the full starting lineup. Race 1 had to have some things corrected, I believe, so make sure you check in on that. Meanwhile, we're going to step away and see you again next week for the Area 500, an all-new era for SimTV broadcasting, and the kickoff of the new 2023 stock car racing season for the Area League. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Kyle Heyer alongside Finney DeCuna, Eric Wineland, and Hunter Sleppy. We'll see you next week to kick things off from the World Center of Racing.